Chapter 232. Ning Cheng's profound ice spear shadows were just like paper mache, and in just a twinkling of an eye, they were immediately blasted into nothingness by the lightning arcs that shot out from the entrance of the Thunder Domain city. As the berserk lightning arcs came crashing down, Ning Cheng's idea of not using the cosmic true devil axe had already disappeared without a trace. The cosmic true devil axe had already rolled up an axe line, as it wrapped around him to protect him. Boom boom boom, the axe line driven by the cosmic true devil axe and the thunder net at the entrance of the Thunder Domain city immediately clashed together, causing a violent and terrifying explosion sound to ring out. Bang! The true cosmic devil axe's axe line blocked the endless thunder net, while at the same time Ning Cheng was directly blown away by the formidable power of the thunder net, causing him to violently spit out a mouthful of blood, before he crashed into a blue-colored stone pillar. The stone pillar seemed to contain a terrifying thunder source, causing Ning Cheng to subconsciously step aside. He guessed that this should be the cyan lightning pillar that Lu Fei had mentioned. However, he did not believe Lu Fei, nor did he intend to turn left as Lu Fei had suggested. The surroundings of the thunder pillar did not seem to have any more thunder lights falling down. Ning Cheng did not have the time to check on his injuries, when an ancient and vast aura filled Ning Cheng's sea of consciousness. This kind of powerful aura almost made Ning Cheng find it hard to breathe. Ning Cheng forcibly suppressed this oppressive feeling, took a deep breath, and began to look at the sky above the Thunder City. The entire sky above the Thunder Domain city was filled with flashes of blue and misty lightning. It was as if countless lightning snakes were moving about, as if they could fall down at any time and place. The true cosmic devil axe seemed to bring out a tyrannical aura that was even more inciting the flow of this aura, causing these thunder snakes to become even more unstable, causing Ning Cheng to quickly put away the true cosmic devil axe. Only now did he realize how terrible his injuries were. He had only passed through the lightning net gate, but his body had been blasted to pieces like a rag. Although with the help of the mysterious yellow origin, his wounds were no longer bleeding, but his whole body was covered with blood, and his clothes and skin were hanging off his body. It was a horrible sight to behold. His shoulder and back had been struck by the lightning, revealing his bones. In other words, without the mysterious yellow origin, he might have already died. Such a terrifying thunder net, Ning Cheng couldn't help but shiver in his heart. This lightning net only lasted for an instant, and its strength was far inferior to the lightning tribulation in his memory. If not for this law's way, even if he cultivated to the great circle of the profound core realm, when he crossed the tribulation, wouldn't he not even be able to leave behind ashes? Here, he at least had time to catch his breath. The mysterious yellow origin aura immediately repaired Ning Cheng's body at its fastest speed. Ning Cheng was just about to take out a piece of clothing to change into, when 7 or 8 lightning arcs that were thicker than chopsticks fell down. How could Ning Cheng think that in this seemingly safe place, there would be lightning arcs that would suddenly fall down? He was barely able to bring out his profound break spear, which transformed into a spear light to resist for a moment. With a crackling sound, Ning Cheng's profound ice spear shadows were directly blown into nothingness. Ning Cheng's body had not yet fully recovered, and was once again hit by the lightning arcs, immediately adding more injuries to his previous injuries. Ning Cheng quickly left the place. He felt that changing his clothes at this time was only secondary. In this kind of place, even if he changed his clothes, the lightning arcs would quickly turn him into his original appearance. After changing to another place, Ning Cheng enjoyed a few breaths of peace. The next moment, the lightning arcs once again descended, and this time it was even more intense than the previous ones. After experiencing it several times, Ning Cheng summed up a rule. He could not stay in any place for more than 3 to 5 breaths of time, otherwise the lightning arcs would descend. If he continued to stay in the same place to block the lightning arcs, then the bombardment of the lightning arcs would become more and more intense, and also more and more powerful. But even so, Ning Cheng still felt that it was getting more and more difficult for him to resist. It seemed that as long as he took another step forward, he would be blasted into smithereens by these endless and terrifying lightning arcs. He tried to take a step back, but found that once he took a step back, the lightning arcs that descended from the sky above the Thunder City would become even more terrifying. Moreover, The time interval between the lightning arcs descending was getting shorter and shorter, sometimes even just a breath of time, before he would have to change to another place. Ning Cheng's injuries were getting more and more serious. After he swallowed a few healing pills, he knew that he could not go on like this. If it went on like this, then he would definitely be blasted into smithereens. As for hiding inside his ring, he did not even think about it. He could still see some skeletons outside the Thunder Domain city, but after coming inside, he did not even see a single bone. Not to mention bones, he did not even see any magical weapons, rings and the like. It could be imagined that anything in here, as long as it was an outsider, would be blasted into smithereens by the lightning arcs of the Thunder Domain city. Once he hid inside his ring, the ring would also be blasted into smithereens. Bang! Ning Cheng was once again sent flying by several lightning arcs, as he crashed into a white lightning pillar. The surface of the white lightning pillar was white in color, but the inside of the pillar was actually filled with lightning arcs. It seemed that in the Thunder Domain city, every place had this kind of terrifying thunder source. Ning Cheng followed Lu Fei's instructions, and circled around the white lightning bead to the right. Sure enough, he found that after he stopped, the density of the lightning arcs was a lot smaller. Not only that, he also had more than 10 breaths of time to rest. It seems that this Lu Fei was not lying. After Ning Cheng took a short rest, he began to sort out the defensive magical weapons in his storage ring. Without any defensive magical weapons, and only relying on the 36 profound ice spears, he estimated that it would be very difficult for him to survive in the Thunder Domain city. There were a lot of defensive magical weapons in his storage ring. There were shields, seals, copper bells, sulfur fans and so on. Because the grade of these defensive magical weapons was not high, the highest one was only a low-grade spiritual artifact, Ning Cheng did not have any interest in refining these things, but now he felt that these things were all good things. After avoiding the lightning arcs in his free time, Ning Cheng also began to refine these defensive magical weapons. No matter how bad the defensive magical weapons were, he did not give up. Lu Fei and Chai Chu-dai at this time had already arrived at the entrance of the Thunder Domain city. The two of them joined forces to bring out their round shields, while simultaneously bringing out their attack-type magical weapons. Unlike Ning Cheng, the two people's round shields and attack-type magical weapons perfectly blocked the thunder net at the entrance of the Thunder Domain city. The thunder net that had seriously injured Ning Cheng a moment ago, only caused the two of them to suffer some minor injuries, and even consumed some of their true essence. This kid is still very tenacious. It seems that he is actually running towards the depths of the Thunder Domain city. If I had not told him the way to escape, perhaps this kid would have already been killed by the Thunder Domain city. Lu Fei stared at Ning Cheng's indistinct back as he spoke with a sneer. Chai Chu-dai suddenly spoke up. I thought that he did not have any defensive magical weapons. How could he have so many defensive magical weapons? But he has suffered such heavy injuries, and is still able to move forward. It really is a freak. Seeing Ning Cheng from time to time taking out a variety of defensive magical weapons to resist the bombardment of the lightning arcs, and even throwing them away when they were damaged, and then changing to another one, Chai Chu-dai was somewhat surprised. She had previously seen Ning Cheng injured in the Thunder Domain Marsh, and had thought that Ning Cheng did not have any defensive magical weapons, but she had never thought that this guy would have so many defensive magical weapons. Lu Fei snorted and spoke. I don't know how many people this person has killed and robbed, to be able to get his hands on so many defensive magical weapons. Outside, he should be afraid of being recognized by others, as such he did not dare to use them, but now that he is inside the Thunder Domain city, he has no choice but to take them out and use them. Let's first let him open the way in front. Once we reach the central area, he will know what is going on. I hope that he can last for 2 days. With the help of many defensive magical weapons, Ning Cheng felt a lot more relaxed. At least he was no longer like before, where his injuries were constantly worsening. But Ning Cheng was also very clear in his heart that this might only be temporary. Once his defensive magical weapons were completely consumed, he would once again fall into the same situation as before. Before that, he had to find a good way to get out. Ning Qing simply did not dare to use his profound break spear to directly strike the lightning. At most he could only bring out his spear's shadows to block the lightning strikes, otherwise his profound break spear would have long since been finished. Since he had already reached this place, Ning Qing no longer had a way out. If he retreated even a little bit, then the lightning strikes would become even more intense. As Ning Qing moved forward, he was trying to figure out the most efficient way to block the lightning arcs of the Thunder Domain City. Catcha! Another crisp sound emerged, causing Ning Cheng's complexion to turn incomparably gloomy. This was his last defensive seal, and now it had also been blasted apart by the lightning strikes. In other words, after this, he would no longer have any defensive magical weapons to use. It had already been 2 days since he had entered the Thunder Domain City, but Ning Qing felt that in addition to his skills in resisting the lightning strikes, he had not obtained anything else. Since he had entered the Thunder Domain City until now, he had spent the entire time resisting the lightning strikes. Ka. 2 more lightning arcs fell down, but this time the lightning arcs were no longer as thick as chopsticks, but rather as thick as a thumb. Fortunately, there were only 2 of these lightning arcs. Ning Qing immediately stimulated his true essence with his profound break spear, but the powerful backlash force directly blasted Ning Qing into a gray stone wall. Bang! A loud sound emerged. Ning Qing quickly moved to the side. He found that he had unexpectedly knocked open a door in this stone wall. It was as if it had appeared out of thin air, without any warning at all. Ning Qing stared at the door in doubt. He could feel a familiar beating coming from this door. Not waiting for Ning Qing to continue to investigate, a terrifying explosion of lightning erupted from the inside of the door. Ning Qing could even see a lightning arc as thick as an arm, jumping around inside the door. Shwa! A gray light filled with a majestic murderous aura shot towards Ning Qing the moment he noticed the stone door. Almost at the same time that Ning Qing felt it, it had already arrived above Ning Cheng's head. Go inside and offer sacrifices to the city. Lu Fei's sneering voice arrived. Ning Cheng's attention was attracted by the door that he had knocked open, as such he did not notice the arrival of Lu Fei. Not to mention that he was already an arrow at the end of its flight. Even if he was at his peak, he would still have to expend a bit of effort to kill Lu Fei. You can also go in. At the same time that Lu Fei sneak attacked Ning Cheng, another red light shot towards Lu Fei. Lu Fei had never thought that Chai Chu Dai would suddenly attack him. This seemingly straightforward woman, who did not like hypocrisy, would actually attack him. If he had known about this, he would definitely not have chosen to cooperate with Chai Chu Dai. Chai Chudi's attack caused the gray light that Lu Fei had sent towards Ning Cheng to dim down in just a twinkling of an eye, as if it had lost its momentum. Boom! True essence exploded out, as Ning Cheng's profound break spear blocked Lu Fei's attack. Ning Cheng, who was originally planning to summon his soul essence puppet, immediately stopped this idea, as he saw Chai Chu Dai sneak attack on Lu Fei. Chapter 233. Ning Cheng was also surprised in his heart. He had always thought that Chai Chu Dai had a straightforward temperament, and was not good at conspiracies. If Chai Chu Dai and Lu Fei cooperated, then the one who would suffer a loss would definitely be Chai Chu Dai. He did not think that Chai Chu Dai would unexpectedly sneak attack him first. This gave him a wake-up call. In this place, never use first impressions to look at your opponent. Bitch, die for me. Lu Fei raised a dazzling white light and shot it towards Chai Chu Dai. Ning Cheng could clearly see it from the side. Lu Fei's dazzling white light unexpectedly did not block the red light from Chai Chu Dai, as the red light passed through the white light and shot towards Lu Fei. Bang! The white light exploded on Chai Chudi's body. Chai Chudi's clothes suddenly fluttered, forming a huge round cocoon. The white light and the round cocoon collided with each other, causing a terrible explosion sound to erupt. Ning Cheng quickly brought out the 36 profound ice spear shadows in front of him. Even if Ning Cheng was far away, the aftermath of the explosion completely destroyed Ning Cheng's 36 profound ice spear shadows. Fortunately, it was just the aftermath. After Ning Cheng's 36 profound ice spear shadows exploded, it immediately dissipated without a trace. After the explosion of the white light disappeared, Ning Qing saw that Chai Chuti's whole body had become naked, revealing her snow-white skin. It seems that her clothes had already been blown into nothingness by the explosion. Ning Qing was secretly on guard, but in his heart he was thinking, back on Earth he had seen many beautiful women in advertisements, but he was sure that none of the women's skin was as beautiful as this woman's. But what made Ning Qing unable to move his eyes away was that this woman's lower abdomen had a 3-inch long cyan-colored crescent moon pattern. That cyan-colored crescent moon pattern was even flashing with a faint lightning, just like the lightning arcs that surrounded the Thunder Domain city. Although Ning Qing had not seen many island movies, but it was not the first time for him to see a naked beauty. But what he was surprised about was the crescent moon pattern on Chai Chuti's lower abdomen. He had an intuition that this crescent moon pattern was absolutely not a literary one. Looking at the cyan-colored crescent moon pattern on Chai Chuti's lower abdomen, Ning Qing discovered that the lightning strikes in this space had at some unknown time disappeared. Not only that, but the path he came from seemed to have suddenly disappeared. The place where the three of them were now had become a small space. An ice-cold gaze filled with dense killing intent swept over him. Ning Qing knew that this was Chai Chuti's gaze, but he did not care about it. Chai Chudai was just a profound core 8th level cultivator, as such he was not afraid of her. However, he did not continue to look at Chai Chuti's lightning crescent moon pattern, as he found that Lu Fei was still blocking that red light. The red light was like a slow-moving guillotine. It had already touched the space between Lu Fei's eyebrows, moving slowly but never stopping. Lu Fei seemed to be locked by the red light. His face turned paler, and wisps of hot air rose from the top of his head. Chai Chudai, you bitch, if not for me, would you have been able to walk to this place? I won't let you go even if I die, bitch. Lu Fei's whole body surged with true essence, while resisting the red light that had already left a bloody mark between his eyebrows. He cursed loudly. Chai Chudai coldly spoke, Lu Fei, put away your thoughts. You deliberately led me to the central hub of refining the Thunder Domain city's array diagram, but the fact is that you were the one who brought the array diagram in. Do you think that I don't know about it? After that Aunt Sikong Kai is sacrificed to the city, wouldn't the next one be sacrificed to me? Elder brother Sikong, we joined hands to deal with Chai Chudai, that bitch, and you want to start with him? I promise that I will give you half of the benefits of the Thunder Domain city. This woman will also become yours. Lu Fei saw that Chai Chudai understood his thoughts, and suddenly turned his gaze towards Ning Qing. At this time, that red killing light had already penetrated half a centimeter into his eyebrows. Blood was flowing down his face. It was obviously a terrifying sight, but he could not move at all. Although Chai Chudai was completely naked, but she did not have any intention of putting on her clothes. Her entire body was also surging with true essence, while her spiritual consciousness was running rampant. Ning Qing could easily see that these two people were competing with each other over that red light. Lu Fei wanted to blow away that red light, while Chai Chudai wanted to use that red light to cut into Lu Fei's body. Ning Qing unhurriedly took out a healing pill and swallowed it down before speaking, It is not that I can't help you, can you let me have a look at the central array diagram of the Thunder Domain city? If I confirm it, then I will help you. When Lu Fei heard Ning Qing's words, he immediately hesitated. This central array diagram was not something that he had found in the Law's Way, rather it was something that his father had found in some other place, and then handed over to him. If he handed over this array diagram to this Sikong Kai, then he would not feel at ease. When Ning Qing saw this, he gave a smile and spoke, Elder brother Lu, you are too slow, you see that red light is about to break you apart. If you lose your life, then what is the use of keeping this thing? Look at how Chai Chudai is doing, even taking off all her clothes and waiting for me to take care of her business. You really do not know how to behave. If you continue to be like this, then I will have to take care of other people's business. Besides, I am just a profound congealing cultivator, what are you worried about? Pata, a sound emerged, as a jade strip fell at Lu Fei's feet. Lu Fei immediately spoke up, This is the jade strip, I do not have the ability to deliver it to you, you better hurry up, I can't hold on much longer. Ning Qing waved his hand, and the jade strip immediately appeared in the palm of his hand. He did not wait for him to check the contents of the jade strip, when he heard Chai Chudi's cold snort, "Die for me." At this moment, the true essence surrounding Chai Chudi's body burst out, as the speed of that red light accelerated, and in an instant entered between Lu Fei's eyebrows. Lu Fei's eyes flashed with a trace of despair, as he roared, "If you want to die, then let's die together." A bead with a violent aura was shot out by him. The bead had not yet exploded, but the horrifying destructive aura crazily spread out. Broken core bead. Ning Cheng's complexion changed. He had used this kind of bead before. A single bead had killed 7 or 8 profound core cultivators. Even if he had the ability to reach the heavens, he would not be able to escape from the broken core bead. If it was any other place, then he would have definitely used his twin heavenly cloud wings to escape. But in this place, the space was narrow, as such he would not be able to escape in a short period of time. Broken core bead. Chai Chudai blurted out, as her voice trembled incessantly. In the next moment, a talisman suddenly appeared in her hand. She crushed the talisman, causing a circle of red light to flash around her, while at the same time, an even faster white light shot towards Ning Cheng. Such a vicious woman, before using the escape talisman to escape, she still did not forget to kill him. Knowing that he would be hit by the explosion of the broken core bead, this woman still wanted to make her move. It could be seen that this woman wanted to kill him very badly. Ning Cheng at this time simply did not have the means to think about it. If he hesitated for even half a breath, then he would not be able to think about it. At this moment, other than the stone door that he had smashed open, there was no other place for him to go. Ning Cheng, without any hesitation, stimulated his twin heavenly cloud wings, avoiding Chai Chudi's white light, and rushed into the stone door filled with lightning. Inside the stone door, he only needed to block the lightning strike for a few breaths of time before he could come out, or else the explosive aura of the broken core bead would have already passed. The moment he went in, his spiritual consciousness saw Lu Fei being split into 2 halves by Chai Chudai. At the same time, a terrifying explosion resounded. His spiritual consciousness was no longer able to see even half of the scene inside. Fortunately, Ning Cheng had not forgotten what kind of place he had entered. Even before he came in, he knew that the crisscrossing lightning arcs were as thick as a thumb. Therefore, after Ning Cheng rushed into the stone door, he immediately displayed his 36 profound ice spear technique. He wanted to at least hold on until the explosion of the broken core bead passed, only then would he be able to go out. But Ning Cheng was soon shocked as he put away his profound break spear. The thumb-thick lightning arcs that he had seen outside had already disappeared. There was only one thing inside the stone door. A cyan-colored stone ball with a diameter of about half a meter. This stone ball did not have anything to support it, and was suspended a meter above the ground. On the surface of the cyan-colored ball, there were lightning arcs revolving around it. With just a glance, one could tell that it contained a terrifying thunder origin aura. Before, he had felt a familiar throbbing in his heart. This time Ning Cheng came to understand. This throbbing was because it had a trace of resonance with his mysterious yellow origin. Was this cyan-colored ball the origin aura? Was it a thunder-attributed origin? Ning Cheng immediately remembered the water origin bead that he had obtained at the bottom of the river, as well as the words spoken by the skeleton at the bottom of the blood river. His mysterious yellow bead required 5 kinds of origins to form a world. If this really was a thunder-attributed origin, then wouldn't it mean that he was still missing 3 kinds of origin if he sent this origin into his thunder bead? Ning Cheng was excited in his heart. He immediately used his spiritual sense to drive this huge cyan-colored stone ball, and wanted to send this cyan-colored stone ball into his mysterious yellow bead. But to his disappointment, this cyan-colored stone ball was only because of the mysterious yellow origin, and had a slight resonance with him, but it was not something that he could drive, let alone enter the mysterious yellow bead. Not only could he not send it in, but Ning Cheng could also feel a faint rejection from it. This was not the thunder origin that could be sent into the mysterious yellow bead. Ning Cheng immediately understood. Chapter 234. If Ning Cheng was here, then he would have definitely known that Yan Ji had already formed her golden core without using the profound life pill, and had even stepped into the profound core realm. Ning Cheng's palms suddenly became covered with cold sweat. No matter how powerful he was, he would still be killed. With his level of cultivation, he might turn into dust with just a puff of air. Fortunately, after Yan Ji's golden core hovered over her head for a while, she once again swallowed it down. The powerful true essence around her gradually dissipated, and the spiritual qi that was absorbed also slowly retreated. After making up his mind, Ning Qing immediately sat down under the everlasting blue thunder bead, before opening his mouth and spitting out a mouthful of essence blood onto the thunder bead, while simultaneously using his spiritual consciousness and true essence to surround this blue-colored thunder bead, as he began to refine it. Ning Qing estimated that he had already entered the law's way for a few years, as such it was not wise to continue to waste his time in this place. Besides, he probably wouldn't be able to refine such a terrifying thing even if he exhausted his lifespan. He might as well leave this place as soon as possible. The outside of the Thunder Domain City had long since been restored to its former appearance, with lightning and thunder lingering around. Occasionally, there would be some cultivators who would come here, but as long as they wanted to enter the Thunder Domain City, without exception, they would be bombarded by these inexhaustible lightning arcs until not even their dregs remained. When Ning Qing vaguely saw a powerhouse raise his hand and destroy a planet with a single punch, he almost screamed out in shock. It was just too terrifying. Yet, such a powerful being was killed by a purple spear with a single strike. Although Ning Qing could not see what kind of material this blue-colored stone ball was made of, but he was sure that this blue-colored stone ball was the everlasting blue thunder bead, which was also the central hub of the Thunder Domain City. As soon as he relaxed his mind, Ning Qing quickly entered into a mysterious state. The everlasting blue thunder bead seemed to have an inexhaustible thunder array revolving around it, while Ning Cheng's thoughts continuously imprinted his own imprints on these thunder arrays. The mysterious yellow origin was also constantly revolving around Ning Cheng's sea of consciousness, cooperating with Ning Cheng to carve the traces on the everlasting blue thunder bead. Another hour passed by, when Yan Ji's mouth suddenly issued a burst of whistling sounds. At the same time, he opened his mouth and spat out a pale golden round pill. The aura contained within this golden round pill was even more terrifying, as if as long as it exploded, Ning Cheng's ring would also explode. Ning Cheng kept reminding himself that this was not a movie, but a real image of the everlasting blue thunder city. Otherwise, he wouldn't dare to believe that all of this was real. The aura in her body grew stronger and stronger, and in the end, it seemed like it was going to rush out of her body. Infected by this kind of aura, Grey Toot Toot immediately stopped chewing the essence-raising fruit, as his gaze fell onto Yan Ji's body. The jade strip seemed to be incomplete, but Ning Qing could still make out some of the vague meanings contained within it. The method to walk around the Thunder Domain City was recorded on a jade strip. The jade strip did not say how to refine the Thunder Domain City, it only said that there was an everlasting blue thunder bead in the center of the Thunder Domain City, and only by relying on the jade strip would one be able to reach that place, otherwise one would definitely be struck to death by 10,000 thunder. Ning Qing immediately swept out with his spiritual consciousness towards the jade strip in his hands. The jade strip looked very simple and unadorned. This simple and unadorned jade strip was sent out by Lu Fei. Although he had said that it was the array diagram of the Thunder Domain City's array formation, he wanted to see if it was really the case or not. A year later, Ning Cheng was still refining the everlasting blue thunder bead. He did not even know what he was doing. At this moment, Yan Ji's entire body shook, as a faint colored light condensed on top of her head. Finally, this colored light became more and more condensed, before it finally formed into a pill shadow. Even if he was not able to refine it in the end, it did not matter, it was just a big deal for him to leave. With this simple and unadorned jade strip in his hands, once again walking around the Thunder City, he should not be bombarded by lightning anymore, right? Ning Cheng as he saw this felt a chill run down his back, as he broke out in a cold sweat. He had thought that after he entered this place, the reason why the crisscrossing lightning suddenly disappeared was because the thunder source here had sensed the mysterious yellow origin within his body. But he did not expect that it was actually because of the jade strip in his hands. Fortunately, he was in a hurry and did not throw the jade strip into his ring, but rather grabbed the jade strip and escaped inside. The everlasting blue Thunder City's entire body exuded the light of thunder and lightning, as it collided with the powerful magical weapons. The formidable might of the Thunder City directly shattered some of the magical weapons, while the endless thunder and lightning caused the powerhouses to retreat in all directions. This was definitely a good thing. In order to avoid any undue delays, Ning Qing used all of his spiritual sense to communicate with this Blue Thunder City. He wanted to put the Blue Thunder City into his ring. Unfortunately, the artifact spirit had already disappeared, leaving only this Thunder City unconsciously absorbing the thunder source. What a formidable Blue Thunder City! Ning Qing had just thought of this, when a mournful scream arrived. Ning Qing had just caught a glimpse of a black arrow. This black arrow had shot into the Blue Thunder City. Time passed in this kind of infinite loop, 1 month, 2 months, in a blink of an eye, half a year had already passed by. If Yan Ji was still sober, she would have definitely understood what was going on. Because the spiritual enhancement True Nectar had washed away the impurities in her body, allowing her to advance to the profound core realm to become a matter of course. He finally managed to communicate with this Thunder City, although he had not yet refined this Thunder City, but he did not need to continue staying here to refine it. He was able to communicate with the Thunder City's first layer restriction, which made him feel that with his current cultivation, if he wanted to refine this Thunder City, then even if he did not spend countless years, he would not be able to succeed. Ning Qing did not think that with his trivial profound congealing cultivation, he would be able to refine such a terrifying Thunder City, but he still wanted to give it a try. Lu Fei and Chai Chudai only had the cultivation of profound core realm, which was not much higher than him. If they had such an idea, then it meant that it was possible to refine this Thunder Domain City. The shadow that was thrown out of the everlasting Blue Thunder City should be the rank 5 Blue Thunder City's artifact spirit. Ning Qing sucked in a mouthful of cold air. He knew that even an ordinary true artifact would find it difficult to produce an artifact spirit. If the everlasting Blue Thunder City had an artifact spirit, then what kind of magical weapon would it be? A cultivator who could condense their golden core without the use of pills would definitely have top-quality qualifications among the top-quality qualifications. Even if it was the Blue Cloud Academy's core disciple Yan Ji, in the absence of a top-quality cultivation method, she would not be able to condense her golden core without the use of pills. Advancing from the profound congealing realm to the profound core realm. Ning Qing tied the jade strip to the back of his hand, and began to look at the blue-colored stone orb. He was afraid that the lightning inside would once again run rampant, as such he did not dare to put the jade strip into his ring. Yan Ji had been at the profound congealing 9th level for a long time. The reason why she had not advanced to the profound core realm was not because she could not advance. It was because she wanted to save up for a period of time, so that her foundation would become even more solid. But now her foundation was already very solid, coupled with the spiritual enhancement True Nectar that had washed over her body, it enhanced her perception. In this case, advancing to the profound core realm was just a matter of course. The spirit stones that Ning Qing had thrown into his ring seemed to have gone crazy, as they turned into a spiritual chi mist that rushed towards Yan Ji. This spiritual chi mist was completely sucked into Yan Ji's body, causing the true essence around Yan Ji to become more and more powerful. An ancient aura similar to the one in the Thunder Domain City spread out. Ning Qing immediately knew that this simple and unadorned jade strip in his hands was the real deal. This kind of aura simply could not be faked. In a distant place, the everlasting Blue Thunder City was involved in a terrible war. During the war, countless powerhouses were killed, innumerable magical weapons were destroyed, and innumerable planets were turned into ashes. Those two idiots, they actually said that they wanted to refine the Blue Thunder City. Wasn't that just harming people? He had really thought that he could refine the Thunder Domain City, and had wasted more than a year in this place, but the result was that he was still unable to take away the Thunder Domain City. If he had known this earlier, then why would he waste his time here? Ning Cheng's mind had just started to communicate with the everlasting Blue Thunder Bead, when he felt his entire body shake. The next moment he could no longer withdraw his spiritual consciousness, as his spiritual sense was completely locked onto by the Blue Thunder Bead. In other words, even if he wanted to leave now, he would not be able to. However, if not for the fact that the Blue Thunder City did not have an artifact spirit, would he be able to communicate with the Thunder City's restriction, and see some information about the past of the everlasting Blue Thunder City? Inside Ning Cheng's miniature world, Grey Toot Toot was currently chewing the essence-raising fruit that Ning Cheng had placed inside. While Yen Ji was sitting on the edge of the spiritual enhancement True Nectar Pond, her entire body was surrounded by a spiritual charm, while the surrounding true essence fluctuated endlessly. The original name of the Thunder Domain City was the Everlasting Blue Thunder City, but he did not know which era it came from, nor did he know why it appeared here. Ning Cheng could only find some clues from the vast information that he had obtained. Ning Cheng did not panic. He found that after he began to refine the everlasting Blue Thunder Bead, this Blue Thunder Bead instantly communicated with his sea of consciousness, and even began to absorb his mysterious yellow origin. Even so, Ning Cheng did not feel any danger. He believed that there should not be too much of a problem. To refine the Thunder Domain City, it was necessary to refine the everlasting Blue Thunder Bead. In his view, since the Blue Thunder City was an ancient treasure, then it should be able to shrink. Perhaps he could even put it into his miniature world. Besides, he had also communicated with one of the layers of restrictions, although he could not refine it, but at least he had a connection with it, right? It was just a trace of incomplete information, but that terrifying might cause Ning Cheng to spit out a mouthful of blood, and then a vague shadow of the Thunder City was blasted out of the everlasting Blue Thunder City by the arrow. That vague shadow rushed into the torn void, and disappeared, while the everlasting Blue Thunder City was blasted into another endless void. But Ning Cheng soon came to know that what he had done was useless, as the Blue Thunder City did not move at all. Ning Cheng at this time came to understand, not to mention that he had only communicated with one of the layers of restrictions. Even if he refined this layer of restrictions, he would still not be able to take away the Thunder Domain City. After Yen Ji swallowed the golden pill, Yen Ji's face once again reverted to its original blank expression, as if everything that had happened a moment ago was not something that she had done. Pa-ta, a subtle sound resounded in Ning Cheng's sea of consciousness. Ning Cheng suddenly opened his eyes, as a vast amount of information rushed into his mind. In the space where Ning Cheng was located, a crisscrossing thunder light once again appeared. The only place that did not have any thunder light was the place where Ning Cheng was sitting. People really cannot be too self-righteous. If not for the internal strife between Lu Fei and Chai Chudai, even if he had the mysterious yellow origin, he would not have been able to come in here. Chapter 235. However, after spending more than a year in this place without getting anything, Ning Cheng felt somewhat unwilling. Thinking until here, Ning Cheng once again tried to communicate with the first layer of the everlasting Blue Thunder City's restriction, and send out a message with his thoughts: if you can be taken away by me, and become my magical weapon in the future, as long as your artifact spirit still exists, I will definitely help you find your artifact spirit. Although Ning Cheng was not an artifact crafting master, but he knew that all the top-grade magical weapons had a spiritual nature. Even if it had lost its artifact spirit, the magic treasure still had a certain spirituality. If this Thunder Domain City did not understand the meaning of his words, then he could just forget about it. Ning Cheng had just finished speaking, when he felt a burst of roaring sounds coming from all around him. The next moment, it was as if the space around him had been dug out of thin air, and suddenly became empty. By the time Ning Cheng reacted, he found that the Thunder Domain City had already disappeared, and he was once again standing in the middle of the endless Thunder Domain Marsh. From time to time, there would be some small lightning flashes falling down, but these lightning flashes were simply not worth mentioning to Ning Cheng, who had already walked through the Thunder Domain City. He did not even need to use the profound break spear to block these tiny lightning bolts. In Ning Cheng's Zifu, there was one more thing: a Thunder City surrounded by lightning. At this moment, the Thunder City had shrunk to an extremely small size, and was suspended in the Zifu, just below the mysterious yellow bead. Ning Cheng was surprised to find that the everlasting Blue Thunder City was side by side with the Celestial River, and did not fall below the Celestial River. Come out and blow it up. Ning Cheng's thoughts fell on the everlasting Blue Thunder Fort. Because the battle images of the everlasting Blue Thunder City had been hovering in his mind, Ning Cheng wanted to bring out the everlasting Blue Thunder City to test out the might of this Blue Thunder City. However, to Ning Cheng's disappointment, when his thoughts fell on the Blue Thunder City, the Blue Thunder City did not budge at all. There was not even half a shred of response. Ning Cheng gave out a sigh. It seems that his cultivation was too low. Wanting to drive this Blue Thunder City, at least for now, it was impossible. It was truly a pity. If he could drive this Blue Thunder City to protect himself, then even if he had to face a soul essence cultivator, he would not have to fear it. Fortunately, he had already taken away the Blue Thunder City. In the future, he could refine the Blue Thunder City at any time. He didn't believe that he wouldn't be able to drive the Blue Thunder City even after countless years. If he waited until he reached the great circle of the profound core realm, then he would be able to drive the Blue Thunder City. Then what would the Thunder Tribulation be for him? Stimulating the twin heavenly cloud wings, Ning Cheng rushed out of the Thunder Domain Marsh with his fastest speed. After coming out, Ning Cheng immediately called out Yan Ji. He intended to let Yan Ji continue to stay by his side, and then talk to Yan Ji, so as to restore Yan Ji's sanity as soon as possible. Have you already condensed out your golden core, and become a profound core cultivator? Ning Cheng looked at Yan Ji, who was standing in front of him, as he asked in a somewhat incredulous manner. Although it was much better than when she was at the bottom of the heaven, but although she was a Yen in such a situation, how could he possibly advance to the profound core realm? Yan Ji was still blankly looking at Ning Cheng, as if she did not understand what a profound core was. This Cheng actually to say, Chen, Yen, 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 looking, Yen of Cheng Ning King Yen Yen Yen, Cheng Yen Yen Ji still, Yen, Yen, Cheng, Yen. This time, Yan Ji actually nodded, found a direction, and quickly flew towards it. Ning Cheng quickly followed behind Yan Ji. At this time Yan Ji's realm was already a level higher than him, coupled with the fact that her speed was not reduced at all, and was flying with all her might. Even Ning Cheng had to use the twin heavenly cloud wings from time to time to keep up with her. Stop! Seeing Yan Ji rushing towards a mountain peak covered with natural restrictions, Ning Cheng quickly sped up and grabbed Yan Ji's arm. Yan Ji stopped, and looked at Ning Cheng with a puzzled look. Ning Cheng had asked her to find a way out, she was just following her own senses. Ning Cheng helplessly pointed to the mountain peak in front of them and spoke. There are some restrictions around this mountain peak, moreover there is a terrifying aura coming from it. There is definitely a class 6 monstrous beast here. If we rush out from this place, we would definitely alarm that monstrous beast. So in this kind of place, we have to go around. Yan Ji actually understood Ning Cheng's words, and really flew around the mountain peak. Ning Cheng felt that as long as he and Yan Ji continued to chat, maybe Yan Ji would be able to recover. Yan Ji was indeed very smart, although she had not fully recovered her sanity, but she was able to understand Ning Cheng's meaning. Along the way, whenever she encountered a dangerous place, she would immediately detour around it. Along the way, Ning Cheng also encountered many good places with spiritual grasses, but Ning Cheng had already obtained the everlasting Blue Thunder City, as well as the spiritual enhancement True Nectar. As such he was already very satisfied with it. At this time, he just wanted to get out of here as soon as possible. A few days later, Yan Ji stopped in front of a huge whirlpool. Spiritual consciousness could not sweep inside the whirlpool, moreover there were 4 words above the whirlpool, the Grand Tao is incomplete. Ning Cheng felt that this whirlpool was the exit of the Law's Way, but he did not understand what the words the Grand Tao is incomplete meant. Entering the Law's Way to cultivate, and passing through the Law's Way, the main purpose was not to look for heaven and earth treasures, but rather to cultivate in this place, and through cultivation, one could perceive the laws of heaven and earth. Because inside the Law's Way, the laws were complete. Why was it that when he wanted to go out, he would see the words the Grand Tao is incomplete, here? Yan Ji was standing beside Ning Cheng. It was obvious that whatever Ning Cheng wanted to do, she also intended to do it. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept around the whirlpool for a long time, but did not see anything different. He grabbed Yan Ji's hand, and carefully took a few steps towards the whirlpool. A powerful force pushed over, but at the same time, there was also a powerful force that sucked in Yan-ji. Ning Cheng was greatly shocked in his heart. He quickly revolved his true essence, and pulled Yan-ji to forcibly retreat. Only after the two of them had retreated a few dozen meters away, did the powerful suction force disappear. Ning Cheng then understood, although he could not get out of this whirlpool, but Yan-ji could get out. If it was not because his cultivation was not enough, then it was because the exit of this whirlpool was Yan-ji's, and not his. Thinking till here, Ning Cheng directly took off the miniature world ring on his hand, and put it on Yan-ji's hand and spoke, "Once I enter the ring, you will immediately rush into the whirlpool." Seeing Yan-ji understand his meaning, Ning Cheng immediately entered his miniature world ring. Seeing Ning Cheng disappear, Yan-ji immediately rushed into the whirlpool. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness wanted to observe from the outside, but he found that a terrifying force had completely strangled his spiritual consciousness. He was so scared that he quickly withdrew his spiritual consciousness, and did not dare to continue observing. After a few breaths, Ning Cheng once again stretched out his spiritual consciousness, and found that it was not affected. He immediately came out of the ring. Yan-ji was standing alone on a huge floating bluestone. She did not know where to go. Ning Cheng took back the ring, and took out a flight-type magical weapon and spoke, "There is a spiritual chi aura here. We should have reached the edge of the Lu continent. I will take you back to the Lu continent." Here, Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness could already feel a part of the spiritual chi aura. He knew that they should have really been transferred out. Looking at the unparalleled beauty of Yan-ji at his side, Ning Cheng knew that as long as he returned to the Lu continent, he would have to send Yan-ji to the Blue Cloud Academy. Otherwise, if Yan-ji followed him, it would not be a good thing. Ning Cheng wanted to open Yan-ji's ring, and find a scarf to cover Yan-ji's face. However, after thinking about it, he still changed Yan-ji's appearance into that of a somewhat good-looking middle-aged woman. At the same time, Ning Cheng also changed his appearance into that of an adventurer with a valiant aura. This kind of adventurer was an unremarkable existence in any continent. Moreover, a man and a woman, two adventurers walking together, was even more common. Just in case, Ning Cheng also deliberately sealed Yan-ji's cultivation at the Qi-gathering realm. Ning Cheng was afraid that someone would recognize him, and treat him as a devil cultivator. Inside the law's way, he did not have to fear others, but once he came out, he would still be an unremarkable existence. The Dragon and Phoenix City was one of the largest cities in the Lu continent. The reason why Ning Cheng came to the Dragon and Phoenix City was because of a few things. First, he wanted to send Yan-ji to the Blue Cloud Academy. The Dragon and Phoenix City definitely had a station for the Blue Cloud Academy. Second, he wanted to find Kong Peng Peng here, and return the things that he had promised Kong Peng Peng. Third, he wanted to see Elder Sister Shu, and also give some spiritual enhancement true nectar to Elder Sister Shu. As two ordinary adventurers, Ning Cheng and Yan-ji easily entered the Dragon and Phoenix City. Ning Cheng took Yan-ji with him. He was ready to find a place to stay, and then go look for Elder Sister Shu. In his heart, the person he trusted the most was still Lan Shu. At the side of the cultivator's rest stop, a wanted poster caught Ning Cheng's attention. When his gaze fell on the wanted poster, he almost turned around and ran away. It was clearly written on the wanted poster, Devil Cultivator Qing Xiaoning. Qing Xiaoning's original name was Ning Cheng, and was a cultivator from the Jia continent's cultivator army. In the law's way, this person had a berserk devilish nature, robbed cultivators, killed people like flies, and even killed Yan-ji, a core disciple of the Blue Cloud Academy. After this devil cultivator left the law's way, if anyone could provide any information about him, they would be rewarded with a best quality spiritual artifact, along with 500,000 spirit stones. If anyone could capture this person, the reward, behind the two images, were the Wu Nian Academy, the Blue Cloud Academy, the Gue Yuan City. There were also a few other academies that Ning Cheng had never heard of. Among the several major 9-star forces of the Lu continent, except for the Dragon and Phoenix Academy, the rest were all on the list. Ning Cheng's heart sank. Other than Yan Ji, there were only 3 people who knew that he was called Ning Cheng: Jia Lingwei, Nalan Rishue, and Zhang Sun Yan. Yan Ji had always been by his side, so it was obviously impossible for her to speak about this matter. Among the other 3 people, in the end, who was the one who leaked the fact that he was Ning Cheng? Ning Cheng's gaze swept to the other wanted poster, and a flame instantly ignited in his chest. Wanted for the devil cultivator Lan Shu. This woman and Ning Cheng were jackals of the same lair, and had once hid in the Dragon and Phoenix Academy. Openly defending the devil cultivator Ning Cheng, killing the disciples of the Gue Yuan City and the Wu Nian Academy in the Dragon and Phoenix City. Although she was seriously injured by the Gue Yuan City's elder, but she still managed to escape. If there was any news about this person, it was the Gue Yuan City again. Ning Cheng's fists were clenched so tightly that ka sounds could be heard. He could not wait to immediately kill his way to the Gue Yuan City, and completely wipe out the Gue Yuan City's Gue clan. Elder sister Shu must have tried to defend him, as such she killed the cultivators who slandered him in anger, and then ended up being wanted. At this time, 2 profound core cultivators passed by Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng heard one of them speak. Next month, the Gue Yuan City's young master Yu Hai and the Wu Nian Academy's Nalan Rishue are going to be engaged. I still haven't thought of what kind of gift I should send. Chapter 236. These 2 people were golden core cultivators, although Ning Cheng wanted to stop the 2 of them and ask them about it, but he knew that the difference between his current cultivation and that of a golden core cultivator was simply too great. If he rashly came out to ask, then perhaps he would be slapped to death by the other party. After the 2 golden core cultivators entered the rest stop, Ning Cheng pulled Yan Ji along to find a low-level spiritual tea house. In the lobby of the spiritual tea house, there were many low-leveled cultivators everywhere, as well as some adventurers. There were a lot of cultivators in the lobby, but there was not a single empty seat. Ning Cheng sat down next to a qi-gathering cultivator whose cultivation seemed to be similar to his. This qi-gathering cultivator was a female cultivator, and looked to be in her 30s. This senior apprentice sister, there are too many people here, I and my companion would like to take a rest here. After Ning Cheng sat down, he deliberately cupped his fists and spoke a few words. It's all right, please do. The female cultivator nodded. Anyone could sit in this place, but after Ning Cheng sat down, he even greeted her, showing that his valiant appearance was only reflected on the surface. A variety of discussions could be heard. Ning Cheng suddenly asked this female cultivator, this senior apprentice sister, my companion and I have just arrived at the Dragon and Phoenix City, and I heard a lot of people talking about the engagement between young Master Yu Hai and Fairy Rushue. Is this matter true? This female cultivator was very kind, as she gave an N sound and spoke. Of course, after Wu Nian Academy's Fairy Rushue came out of the law's way, because she obtained a huge opportunity, she directly advanced to the profound core realm. But young Master Yu Hai is the most talented disciple of the Gue Yuan City, and is now at the great circle of the profound core realm. He is only a step away from advancing to the Soul Essence realm. The 2 9-star academies have joined forces, and this time it is an engagement. After that young Master Yu Hai advances to the Soul Essence realm, they will immediately get married. I heard that Nalan Rishue is one of the people from the Lu continent's twin lotus flowers, with a peerless appearance. This Gue Yuan City's Gue Yu Hai's luck is really good. Ning Cheng spoke with a sigh. Keep your voice down. Young Master Yu Hai's reputation is definitely bigger than Nalan Rishue's, and not any less than her. Haven't you heard of the saying, twin lotus flowers, begonia blossoms, stars in the heavens, half-riding cloud? Young Master Yu Hai is a flood dragon among men, which female cultivator would not want to marry him? The female cultivator whispered. Ning Cheng nodded. Thank you, senior apprentice sister. I certainly have heard of these words, but it is probably because I have seen Nalan Rishue before, and have never seen young Master Yu Hai before. You actually met Fairy Rishue by fate, ah. Your luck is really good. This female cultivator, on hearing that Ning Cheng had met Nalan Rishue, immediately exclaimed. I only caught a glimpse of her from afar. At that time, she was wearing a veil. Ning Cheng spoke with a smile. The female cultivator seemed to be very fond of gossiping, and immediately said, "Of course, no one can see her face, even young Master Yuhai. I heard that he could only see her portrait. What a pity for Blue Cloud Academy's Fairy G, if not for Fairy G being killed by a devil cultivator, perhaps this time." As the female cultivator spoke till here, she seemed to feel that something was wrong and quickly stopped herself from continuing. When Ning Qing saw this, he waved his hand towards the waiter in the distance. When the waiter came over, Ning Qing spoke in a very generous manner, "Help me bring 3 cups of spiritual tea." "What kind of tea do you want?" the waiter quickly asked. Ning Qing pointed to the sign above and said, "I want a cup of light silk leaf for 5 low-grade spirit stones." Hearing Ning Qing ask her to drink a cup of spiritual tea for 5 low-grade spirit stones, the female cultivator quickly stood up and cupped her fists in gratitude. 5 low-grade spirit stones for a cup of spiritual tea. In this place it could be considered as a medium-grade spiritual tea. Ning Qing also seemed to be an adventurer. In the Lu continent, an adventurer could spend 5 low-grade spirit stones to invite a stranger to drink a cup of spiritual tea. It was definitely a generous act. The spiritual tea was soon served. Ning Qing took a sip and spoke, "I know that devil cultivator. He is called Ning Qing. There are arrest warrants for him everywhere." The female cultivator's eyes showed a trace of fear as she spoke. "That's right. I heard that this devil cultivator's cultivation is incomparably powerful. He alone killed more than 100 profound core cultivators in the law's way, and even snatched away dozens of female cultivators to seize their primordial yin. This devil cultivator is not only a murderous demon, but also a perverted demon. Fairy G ended up being controlled by him. Moreover, he even managed to cause Fairy G to lose her consciousness. So cruel. Then who spread this news?" Ning Qing quickly asked. In his heart he really regretted meddling in other people's business. In the second segment of the law's way, people had blocked the road to rob and kill people, but he had interfered. Not only did no one thank him, but now because of this matter, he had turned into an incomparably powerful devil cultivator, moreover a perverted demon at that. How could he kill more than 100 profound core cultivators by himself? Was this the story of the classic of mountains and seas? The female cultivator quickly shook her head and spoke, "Who knows, it must have been spread by a cultivator who came out of the law's way. If that devil cultivator came out of the law's way this time, then it is estimated that he would have nowhere to go. Not only are some of the academies from the advanced class continents and the intermediate class continents trying to capture him, even the people from the I Ching Ocean are also trying to capture him. I heard that he had even killed a direct descendant of the I Ching Ocean's Mu Imperial Palace, Shen Tu Yun. This devil cultivator's courage is really fat." Speaking till here, this female cultivator suddenly lowered her voice and spoke to Ning Qing. "Do you know what that devil cultivator Ning Qing did to Fairy Rushue? He had raped Fairy Rushue, moreover." Ning Qing was shocked. This kind of hat could not be randomly put on him. He quickly spoke up. "This kind of words cannot be spoken carelessly. Fairy Rushue is a core disciple of the Wu Nian Academy. Once this news spreads out, then it would be the end of her." At the same time, Ning Qing was thinking in his heart, this female cultivator's courage was really fat. To even dare to speak such words. The female cultivator was not surprised, and spoke in a low voice. "This is not what I said. In fact, everyone in the Dragon and Phoenix City knows about it. It's just that everyone does not dare to say it out loud. A few days ago, this matter spread to everyone. Young Master Yuhai had sworn an oath that he would definitely extract and refine the soul of that devil cultivator Ning Qing. Because he was more fond of Fairy G from the Blue Cloud Academy, but because Fairy G was lost to that devil cultivator Ning Qing, and lost her chastity to Ning Qing, he had no choice but to choose Nailan Rushue. But he did not expect that Nailan Rushue would also lose her chastity to a devil cultivator. Ning Qing felt that this matter was not as simple as it looked on the surface. No matter who spread this news, it would not only be bad for him, but it would also be bad for Nailan Rushue. Who the hell did this? Why would they target him? After chatting with this female cultivator for a while, Ning Qing felt that he had to leave the Dragon and Phoenix City as soon as possible. Continuing to stay here would only be courting death. As for sending Yan Ji to the Blue Cloud Academy, it would be better to just forget about it. Elder sister Lingwei, I have been feeling uneasy these past few days. I do not know if Big Brother Ning and senior apprentice sister Ji have come out of the law's way. Those people said that Big Brother Ning had turned senior apprentice sister Ji into a puppet. I am the first to not believe it. In a room of a rest stop, two women were sitting with a frown on their faces, and the one who spoke was a red-robed female cultivator. These two people were Zhang Sun Yan and Jia Lingwei. They had even come out of the law's way earlier than Nalan Rushua, but at this time both of them had already reached the profound core realm. Jia Lingwei sighed, but did not answer Zhang Sun Yan's words. In fact, she did not know how to answer. Elder sister Lingwei, do you think that Big Brother Ning's identity was revealed by that woman, Nalan Rushua? I have never believed this woman. If she knew about Big Brother Ning's identity, then only she would be able to reveal this matter. Zhang Sun Yan once again asked. Jia Lingwei shook her head and spoke, it is certainly not from Rushua. Why? Zhang Sun Yan was somewhat puzzled. If it was from junior apprentice sister Rushua, then the strength to capture Ning Cheng would be at least 10 times stronger than it is now. Junior apprentice sister Rushua knows that Ning Cheng and junior apprentice sister Ji fell into the Blood River. Just think about it, who in the history of the Blood River was able to come out alive? Since they fell into the Blood River and survived, then it shows that they know about the secret of the Blood River. The Blood River has always been one of the most mysterious existences in the law's way. If they knew about the secret of the Blood River, then how many great characters would go out to capture them? How could it be just a few arrest warrants? Maybe they would not even put out any arrest warrants, and would just secretly try to capture them. Jia Lingwei replied in a sinking voice. That's right, I did not think that Big Brother Ning and senior apprentice sister Ji would unexpectedly be able to survive from the Blood River. If this matter was to spread out, then no one would dare to believe it. Zhang Sun Yan sighed. Elder sister Lingwei, you say that the news of Nalan Rushua losing her chastity to Big Brother Ning, who was the one who deliberately released it? Could it be Nalan Rushua's enemy? Zhang Sun Yan's thoughts jumped too fast. Just a moment ago she was still lamenting about Ning Cheng, but in the blink of an eye she had shifted the topic to the matter of Nalan Rushua losing her chastity. Jia Lingwei shook her head and spoke, I am not sure about this, but I have guessed a person in my heart, but I do not know if my guess is correct or not. Who is it? Zhang Sun Yan urgently asked. Nalan Rushua. Ah. Chapter 237. Junior apprentice sister Yuing, you and your elder brother Yuan Hua are the most outstanding disciples of my Wu Yan Academy. Your qualifications are even better than mine. Initially I was the one who brought you to the Wu Yan Academy. Now why do you want to leave the Wu Yan Academy? This purple-robed female cultivator spoke with some sadness. Ning Cheng had just pulled Yan Ji out of the spiritual tea house, when a low and deep voice sounded in his ear, come with me. Beside this delicate and pretty female cultivator was a simple and honest-looking man. Both of them had the same cultivation of early-stage profound congealing realm. The female cultivator who stopped them was wearing a purple robe, while her face was covered with a veil. What? After Nalan Rushua asked, she immediately understood what it meant, and spoke in a low voice, it was not me who spread it, take care. Nalan Rushua thought of her own matters, and was no longer in the mood to persuade Yuing and Yuan Hua. She herself was like a clay bodhisattva crossing the river. Master, is there any way to make Gue Yuhai give up on proposing marriage to me? Humph, if she comes out safe and sound, would the Blue Cloud Academy let her do whatever she wants? It doesn't matter if you go to the Tian continent. Now that the Yixing Ocean and the 9 continents have reached an agreement, they are preparing to jointly build a transmission array to go to the Tian continent. As long as our Wu Yan Academy retains its current status, how could the quota to go to the Tian continent not belong to our Wu Yan Academy? In the end, we still have to keep our status. If we offend the Gue Yuan city, then the Wu Yan Academy would immediately be at a disadvantage, and most likely the benefits would be divided. Bastard, you finally showed your head. An angry roar erupted, while a terrifying and sharp killing intent grabbed towards Ning Cheng's head. Hearing this voice, Ning Cheng immediately knew who this person was. It was Kong Peng Peng. He did not think that Kong Peng Peng would be able to recognize him, but how did Kong Peng Peng recognize him? Ning Qing suddenly found that he was completely locked in place by this crazy killing intent, and was simply unable to move even a little bit. This kind of cultivation, for him, was simply too terrifying. One must know that he was at profound congealing 7th level, almost equivalent to a late-stage profound core cultivator, yet he was locked in place by this kind of imposing aura. Ning Qing put away the talisman, and thanked him with a bow. Many thanks General Kong for helping me this time, I will definitely repay you in the future. Moreover, this benefit not only involved the benefits of going to the Heaven Continent, but also involved the opening of the road to the Heaven Continent, and many benefits of cultivation resources. Of course, if you're not willing, I won't let my disciple suffer. Master, that Yan Ji might not be willing to marry into the Gue Yuan city. Not to mention others, even I myself am really not willing to have dual cultivation with someone so early. I still want to go to the Tian continent, that is the place that I really want to go. Ning Qing knew that he was in a very dangerous situation, so he calmed himself down. Kid, you're courting death. You actually dare to come to the Dragon and Phoenix City. Do you know how many things you've done to court death? Now, the number of people from the 9-star, 8-star, and 7-star academies who want to kill you is like a school of carps crossing the river. Go, quickly leave for me, and escape as far as possible. After Kong Peng Peng arranged a simple isolation restriction, he spoke in one breath. Ning Qing quickly spoke up, I obtained a lot. If General Kong feels that it is not enough, then I still have some here. Senior Apprentice Sister Nalan, thank you for bringing us siblings to the Wu Yan Academy. If we were still in the Hua continent, we might not have been able to cultivate to this point. But me and my brother are just going out to gain experience, and did not say that we would leave the Wu Yan Academy. The female cultivator carrying the long sword on her back calmly spoke. In front of her eyes once again appeared the conversation between her and her master, Rushue. I know that your mind is focused on cultivation. But that Gue Yuhai is the #1 genius of the Gue Yuan city, so you will not feel wronged. Besides, our Wu Yan Academy is not the Wu Yan Academy of the past, even some of the 8-star academies have caught up with our Wu Yan Academy. Ning Qing nodded, and gave a respectful bow towards Kong Peng Peng, pulling Yan Ji along. They sped up towards the entrance of the city. Yuing had always called her senior apprentice sister Rushue, but now she had directly changed the way she addressed her as senior apprentice sister Nalan. How could Nalan Rushue not hear the difference between the two? Kong Peng Peng subconsciously took the jade bucket, and spoke in a somewhat disbelieving manner, how can there be so many? How many spirit stones are these worth? You are still young, how can you deal with that kind of devil cultivator? On the surface he looks like he has a good relationship with Yan Ji, but behind his back he still lost Yan Ji, which shows that this person is a very treacherous person. Otherwise, you and he are not even related, why would he want to save you? It was only because I arrived in time. Enough, that's enough. I only wanted a small bottle, but now I have a whole barrel. I can't finish it no matter how much I use it. Kong Peng Peng's spiritual consciousness swept into the inside of the jade barrel, causing him to become even more excited. He could clearly see that this jade barrel was really filled with spiritual enhancement true nectar. Yan Ji immediately felt the danger that Ning Qing was in. She immediately revolved the true essence within her body, and the restriction that Ning Qing had sealed within her body instantly collapsed. Yan Ji simply did not have enough time to bring out her cyan-colored meteor damask, as she had already thrown herself in front of Ning Qing. Using all of the power of her true essence, she did not hold back in the slightest, as she also crazily blasted out a punch. Saying that, Kong Peng Peng took out a level 7 escape talisman and handed it to Ning Qing and said, "This is a rank 7 escape talisman, I accidentally got my hands on it, you might be able to use it. I can only help you this much. I can't afford to offend those big sections. Also, that bastard NI gang is adding fuel to the fire. Once this claw came down, how could he still have his freedom?" A kind of incomparably crazy power rampaged through Ning Cheng's dantian, causing the true essence in Ning Cheng's body to give off crackling sounds. Self-defilement. That Ning Cheng also took advantage of you, so you use him to defile yourself. In this way, Gue Yuhai, this proud son of the heavens, would absolutely not continue to mention this matter. Moreover, as long as that Ning Cheng came out, he would definitely be beheaded by Gue Yuhai. Even if Gue Yuhai did not mention about the marriage, but with his pride, he would absolutely not let that Ning Cheng live a good life. But my Wu Yan Academy is also unable to form a marriage alliance with the Gue Yuan city. Fortunately, Blue Cloud Academy's Yan Ji also has a problem. Master, what is the solution? Thinking until here, Nalan Rishua secretly sighed in her heart. Unfortunately, even after her master helped her spread the words of self-defilement, that Gue Yuhai still wanted to get engaged to her. Yan Ji absolutely could not be handed over to Kong Peng Peng to arrange. Once he handed over Yan Ji to Kong Peng Peng to arrange, it would be equivalent to harming Kong Peng Peng. Even if Big Brother Ning still had a glimmer of life, but now because of this rumor, he would lose his life. Senior apprentice Sister Nalan, I have always respected you, but for your own sake, the means you used are too vicious. Today my brother and sister are here, if you want to kill me then kill me, my brother and I will absolutely not even frown. Ning Cheng quickly followed Kong Peng Peng to a remote street corner, and eagerly asked, General Kong, how did you recognize me? Obviously, this pair of brother and sister were Yu Ying and Yu Yuan Hua, and the one who stopped them was Wu Yan Academy's Nalan Rishue. In fact, the initiative to propose marriage was not made by the Gue Yuan city, but rather by the Wu Yan Academy. How could that Gue Yuhai take a fancy to an ordinary person, other than the twin lotus branch? It is even more impossible. But to make Gue Yuhai take the initiative to give up, it is not that there is no way, but it would be disadvantageous to my Wu Yan Academy, and even more disadvantageous to you. Kong Peng Peng looked at Ning Cheng's departing back and secretly sighed. Although he had helped Ning Cheng, but whether or not Ning Cheng would be able to escape from this pursuit was still an entirely different matter. He did not care whether Ning Cheng was a devil cultivator or not, as Ning Cheng had killed countless Yi Xing Ocean's cultivators, he had seen it with his own eyes. If not for this matter, he would have definitely made Ning Cheng his right-hand man. Good. I know, you can hurry up and leave. Kong Peng Peng once again urged Ning Cheng. Who is Meng Jingxiu? Kong Peng Peng took the ring and asked. If senior apprentice Sister Nalan does not want to kill me and my big brother, then we will leave. Ewing stared at Nalan Rishue who was lost in thought, and spoke in a neither arrogant nor humble manner. Good, Ning Cheng, I really did not misread you. Kong Peng Peng quickly put away the jade bucket, you should immediately leave. Who is this woman? Do you want me to help you arrange it? Kong Peng Peng's tone eased a bit, you are a qi gathering cultivator, but you are walking on the street with a profound core cultivator. Your concealment cultivation method is quite good, so I would not be able to see it. But this woman beside you, if a person with a high cultivation level saw it, they would be able to see that her cultivation was sealed without any resistance. Compared to those old guys, you are still too tender. Ewing slowly spoke, Big Brother Ning had saved my life, without Big Brother Ning, I would have already died miserably in the Angry Axe Valley, I will not stay in an academy that hunts down my benefactor. What's more, senior apprentice Sister Nalan does not want to marry Gue Yuhai, but there is no need to add fuel to the fire, and spread such unfavorable words towards Big Brother Ning, right? Whether Big Brother Ning is a devil cultivator or not, senior apprentice Sister Nalan is well aware of it. Whether Big Brother Ning did that kind of thing to senior apprentice sister is also well aware of it. Saying that, Ning Cheng took out a huge jade bucket, and handed it to Kong Peng Peng and said, General Kong, this is the spiritual enhancement true nectar that I obtained, you can take it. Ning Cheng said, no, I also have a storage ring here, if General Kong meets Meng Jingxiu, please give this ring to her. I am very clear about your thoughts, after you go out to gain experience, you should not return to the Wu Yan Academy, you might even leave the Lu continent. Nalan Rishue suddenly sighed, and then continued, Junior apprentice Sister Yuing, you should be blaming me for not helping Ning Cheng, right? not forming an alliance with the Gue Yuan city. In the future, when the Lu continent's major academies reorganize and share the benefits, it would definitely be disadvantageous to the Wu Nian Academy. Fortunately, Yan Ji was defiled by that Ning Cheng. Otherwise, if the Gue Yuan city and the Blue Cloud Academy were to form a marriage alliance, then we would be even more passive. Ning Cheng took out a jade strip and casually drew an image on it before handing it to Kong Peng Peng and said, "This is the woman. She originally came out from the Falling Star Academy. Her father should also be from the Jia Continent's cultivator army." "But master, that Ning Cheng had saved my life. Do you want to kill us, brother and sister?" A delicate and pretty female cultivator carrying a long sword on her back coldly stared at the other female cultivator who was blocking her way. Puff! A blood arrow sprayed out. Ning Cheng unexpectedly broke free from this crazy killing intent, while simultaneously punching out with his fist. Even if their cultivation was higher, if they wanted to take his life, then he would not just stand there and do nothing. Chapter 238. The powerful imposing manner that bound Ning Cheng unexpectedly did not bind Yan Ji in the slightest, nor did it threaten Yan Ji in the slightest. Otherwise, Yan Ji would not have been able to display such a violent punch. "Little sister." A shocked voice called out. It seemed that she did not expect Yan Ji to suddenly attack her. She immediately knew that once her true essence struck Yan Ji, even if Yan Ji did not die, she would still lose half of her life. She subconsciously retracted her power. Even if Yan Ji changed her appearance, with a sweep of her spiritual consciousness, she would be able to recognize her. Knowing that it was Yan Ji, how could she attack her? But at this time, Ning Cheng's fist and Yan Ji's fist simultaneously arrived. Bang! The sound of the true essence explosion caused the scenery on the side of the street to explode into pieces, turning everything into a mess. Ning Cheng took a dozen steps back, before he hit a huge stone tablet, breaking the stone tablet into two pieces, while Ning Cheng also stopped because of this blocking force. Yan Ji was also forced to retreat, but Ning Cheng blocked her from continuing to retreat. The cultivator who attacked her was not much better than Ning Cheng. Because she had retracted her strength, she suffered a backlash. Coupled with Yan Ji and Ning Cheng's true essence, she also suffered some minor injuries. Ning Cheng then saw the cultivator who attacked him. It was a middle-aged beautiful woman, but Ning Cheng could not see her cultivation. It was obvious that she was a cultivator with a very high cultivation. This middle-aged beautiful woman called Yan Ji little sister. Was she Yan Ji's elder sister? But looking at their appearance, it really was somewhat similar. "Little sister, this person is a devil cultivator. He wanted to kill you, yet you still want to help him?" The middle-aged beautiful woman came back to her senses, and reached out to grab Yan Ji's arm. Yan Ji immediately dodged, and hid beside Ning Cheng, staring at the middle-aged beautiful woman. She quietly spoke, "Whoever touches him, I will kill them." Ning Cheng looked at Yan Ji in surprise. "Junior apprentice Sister Ji, have you recovered?" Since Yan Ji lost her consciousness, this was the first time he heard Yan Ji speak. But although Yan Ji's eyes were a little more spirited, she was still somewhat at a loss. Apparently she had not fully recovered. The middle-aged beautiful woman also saw that the situation was not right. She was a person with experience, and could see that her little sister was still a virgin at a glance. Moreover, from the looks of it, if she dared to make a move against Ning Cheng, then the two sisters would immediately turn against each other. From the looks of it, this matter was not as credible as the rumors. On the contrary, looking at Yan Ji's aura, he could tell that Yan Ji had already advanced to the profound core realm. Moreover, her chi and blood were also extremely exuberant, without any kind of obscure or bad aura. Thinking till here, this middle-aged beautiful woman coldly stared at Ning Cheng and spoke, "I am Yan Ji's elder sister Yan Yu. You should be aware of your own situation. I will not look for you to settle accounts. You can let little Ji come back to the Yan clan with me. Looking at the way you treat Yan Ji, it seems that you also have some secrets, but in any case, you should know that you can't even protect yourself right now." Hearing that this woman was Yan Ji's elder sister Yan Yu, even if she did not speak about this matter, Ning Cheng had already intended to hand over Yan Ji to the other party. Now that Yan Yu spoke in such a manner, he immediately spoke to Yan Ji, junior apprentice sister Ji, you go back with your elder sister, I have something to do, I will come back to see you in the future when I have the time. Hearing Ning Cheng's words, Yan Ji unexpectedly nodded, and walked to the side of Yan Yu. Yan Yu stared at Ning Cheng, and spoke in a light voice, you're on your own. Saying that, she took Yan Ji, turned around, and with a burst of fluctuations, the two of them had already disappeared far away. Ning Cheng looked at the surrounding cultivators, and knew that he had to leave this place immediately, otherwise if he ended up being surrounded, it would really be bad for him. As soon as Ning Cheng came out of the city, he immediately brought out an airship filled with spiritual qi, and quickly left the Dragon and Phoenix City. He could already feel a spiritual consciousness locking onto him, moreover this spiritual consciousness was also filled with a strong killing intent. According to Ning Cheng's previous experience, this cultivator who had locked onto him and was following him should not have reached the soul essence realm, but was definitely a top expert among the profound core cultivators. After his identity was exposed, there were still no top-level cultivators chasing after him, which at least illustrated one point, that was, his twin heavenly cloud wings had not been exposed. If the twin heavenly cloud wings were exposed, then in the Dragon and Phoenix City, no matter what kind of monster or demon it was, they would definitely chase after him. Half an hour later, Ning Cheng finally stopped. He knew that he had to get rid of this stalker, only then would he be able to escape with all his strength, otherwise the number of people chasing after him would only increase. You really have guts, to even dare to stop and wait for me. Along with an ice-cold voice, a handsome man wearing a golden robe landed in front of Ning Cheng. You really have guts, to even dare to chase after your grandfather. Ning Cheng was convinced that for the time being it was only this person chasing after him, causing him to feel a bit relieved in his heart. The golden-robed man looked at Ning Cheng with a sarcastic expression, you are just an ant-like beast, killing you would only stain my hands. However, I will still refine you into a wild dog that wags its tail and begs for pity at my feet every day. Ning Cheng's eyes were overflowing with killing intent, a cultivator at the great circle of the profound core realm, dared to speak such big words, he could not even remember how many profound core cultivators he had killed. But he had never seen this person before, so why did he hate him so much? Remember, the person who will extract and refine his soul today is called Gue Yuhai, do not forget him. As this golden-robed man finished speaking, his hands brought out bursts of golden flowers, as a huge golden sword suddenly appeared in the sky. This golden sword brought with it a formidable oppressive imposing manner, as if it wanted to completely seal off Ning Cheng's surroundings. Not only that, but this golden sword was also faintly permeating with bursts of Sanskrit sounds, which made Ning Cheng feel that he should not go against the opposite party, and should quickly put down his weapon and surrender to the opposite party's feet. The golden sword brought out bursts of golden flowers, which even stirred up the imposing manner of the opposite party. Such a formidable imposing manner, if this person was Gue Yuhai, then it would not be surprising as to why he hated him so much. There were already rumors on the outside that he had slept with Nalan Rushua, so it would be strange if the opposite party did not hate him. Ning Cheng's entire body was agitated with true essence, and in an instant brought out his true cosmic devil axe, so it turns out to be a person surnamed Wugue, Gue Yuhai, others might be afraid of you, but this father is not afraid of you. While speaking, the true cosmic devil axe drove Ning Cheng's true essence to erupt with bursts of violent axe intent. Ning Cheng wanted to end this fight quickly, he was ready to kill Gue Yuhai, and then quickly leave. But Ning Cheng soon felt that something was wrong, his true cosmic devil axe's violent demonic axe intent was unexpectedly restrained by the opposite party's golden sword, the violent axe intent instantly turned gentle. There was no longer that kind of terrifying and violent murderous aura. You really are a devil cultivator, since you met me today, then let me put an end to you. I will let you know, what is a Buddhist spiritual technique. Just a trivial ant from the mountains, and also dares to stir up trouble in the Lu continent. Gue Yuhai ridiculed, while the golden sword in his hands had already come crashing down. For him, Ning Cheng, this kind of cultivator without any roots or foundation, was just a wild ant from the mountains. The golden great sword brought out countless golden flowers, and in just a twinkling of an eye transformed into several powerful golden arhats. These golden arhats brandished their pale golden fists, as they bombarded Ning Cheng's berserk axe intent. Boom boom boom. True essence exploded out. Ning Cheng's axe intent had not even formed into a killing intent, when it was smashed to pieces by these golden arhats. Bursts of Sanskrit sounds once again arrived. Ning Cheng almost wanted to give up the great axe in his hands, and then surrender without a fight. But Ning Cheng's powerful consciousness made him realize that once he dared to put down the great axe, then he would never have the opportunity to turn things around. Enduring the stifling feeling in his heart, Ning Cheng once again used his true cosmic devil axe to create a huge whirlpool just like a tornado, as an even more berserk axe intent mixed with Ning Cheng's killing force blasted towards those arhats. Angry Axe Second Form, Tornado. Although he had used the Angry Axe second form, but Ning Cheng was aware that the Angry Axe killing intent that he had displayed with his true cosmic devil axe was flawed. Moreover, the flaw was not small. When he had the time, he would definitely make up for this fatal flaw. It seems like I underestimated you. Your killing intent has unexpectedly reached the large accomplishment stage. Gue Yuhai once again waved his hands, as the golden flowers around his sword grew even more, and in just an instant condensed into several arhats. These arhats surrounded Ning Cheng's true cosmic devil axe, while simultaneously blasting out a golden arhat fist. At this moment, Ning Cheng even lost contact with his true cosmic devil axe. Ning Cheng bit the tip of his tongue, and directly brought out his profound break spear, as he brandished 36 profound ice spear shadows towards Gue Yuhai. You want to compare magical weapons with me, you have found the right person. Gue Yuhai sneered, as he once again blasted out a golden chain. As soon as the golden chain came out, it instantly rolled up a large amount of golden light. This golden light was still able to block Ning Cheng's 36 profound ice spear shadows, while at the same time, a Class 5 monstrous beast covered in golden color was released by Gue Yuhai, as it pounced towards Ning Cheng. His magical weapon and his monstrous beast were all golden in color. It could be seen that he had a penchant for the color gold. I am not in the mood to tangle with you, I will lock you up and slowly deal with you. Gue Yuhai coldly snorted as he released the Class 5 monstrous beast. Ning Cheng was also not in the mood to continue fighting with Gue Yuhai, as he also gave a cold snort and spoke, It looks like you also know that Nalan Rushiwa and I have slept together, as such you are jealous. After he spoke those words, Gue Yuhai's eyes suddenly turned blood red, as a crazy killing intent rose up from his body. Ning Cheng wanted this kind of effect. He did not wait for Gue Yuhai to take any action, as he directly brought out the Class 6 puppet. At the same time he sent out a message to the puppet, so that the puppet would first block the Class 5 monstrous beast that was pouncing towards them, and then ignore the monstrous beast, and immediately sneak attack Gue Yuhai. While Ning Cheng himself gathered his true essence, as he fully stimulated the twin heavenly cloud wings. Class 6 puppet. Gue Yuhai cried out in shock, but not waiting for him to react, Ning Cheng had already arrived in front of him, as he blasted out a punch. Teleportation. Gue Yuhai was once again shocked. How could a profound congealing cultivator be able to teleport? But Ning Cheng, in such an impossible situation, had suddenly rushed to his side. This was equivalent to sneak attacking him. He and Ning Cheng had been fighting for a while, and although Ning Cheng was indeed much more powerful than the average profound congealing cultivators, but compared to him, the difference was still too far. Because of this, he simply did not put Ning Cheng in his eyes. But at this moment, Ning Cheng suddenly called out the Class 6 puppet, and even used it to teleport. In the end, just what was going on here? Wanting to bring out a magical weapon to block Ning Cheng's teleportation punch, it was absolutely impossible, but fortunately he still had the armor on his body. At this moment, Gue Yuhai almost revolved all of his true essence, in order to resist Ning Cheng's sudden punch. Bang! Catcha! Poof! Ning Cheng's punch contained all of Ning Cheng's true essence, while simultaneously condensing all of his angry axe killing intent. This was his axe fist. When he did not have an axe, he had already comprehended this punch. Gue Yuhai's armor was not thick. In fact, even a handsome-looking male cultivator like him, was not willing to wear a thick and ugly armor. Because Ning Cheng's punch was incomparably abrupt, it directly broke through Guo Yuhai's protective qi and armor, and exploded into Guo Yuhai's chest. Chapter 239. Guo Yuhai did not think that he would be successfully sneak attacked by this ant-like thing, causing the flames of his anger to almost ignite his hair. In his view, he was an incomparably noble and talented young master. If he wanted to kill an ant without any background, then this ant should just crawl on the ground and let him kill him. Perhaps even he himself did not know where the nobility in his bones came from. But he did not think that this ant would not only resist, but would even use a teleportation to sneak attack him. In just this one move, Guo Yuhai's armor was broken by Ning Cheng's axe fist, and even his bones were broken. Guo Yuhai immediately spurted out a mouthful of blood, as his anger caused him to instantly take out a fist-sized black-colored magical weapon. But not waiting for him to bring out his magical weapon, the level 6 puppet under Ning Cheng's command was already as fast as lightning blocking Guo Yuhai's path of retreat, while simultaneously sending out a palm strike. The strength of this soul essence puppet's fist, even if it was Guo Yuhai at his peak, he would not be able to stop it, not to mention that he was already extremely angry, and was seriously injured. Poof! Another mouthful of blood spurted out. Guo Yuhai's chest that had just caved in due to Ning Cheng's attack, was once again punched out by the puppet. But his back was once again caved in, while bursts of bone-cracking sounds were heard. Guo Yuhai was incomparably horrified in his heart. He did not think that a puppet would actually grasp such a good opportunity, moreover it even took the initiative to give up on the monstrous beast to attack him. But he immediately understood that this was definitely the command of this ant in front of him. Although he had not fallen, but he did not have even half a shred of ability to fight. He must leave, immediately leave. Guo Yuhai calmed down. Even if he wanted to kill this ant to take revenge, he must first escape. The next moment, Guo Yuhai had already grabbed a talisman. He had not yet stimulated the talisman, when an ice-cold and bone-chilling killing intent locked onto him. Guo Yuhai couldn't help but shiver. What kind of killing intent was this? He was sure that since the beginning of his life, he had never seen such a terrifying killing intent. But his talisman was unexpectedly wrapped up in this killing intent, causing the speed of its activation to slow down by countless times. A black shadow seemed to have come from the horizon, drawing a very strange and terrifying arc, as it blasted into his body, but he unexpectedly did not even have half a shred of resistance. Guo Yuhai looked at the black shadow that had pierced into his chest. Now he was finally able to see it clearly. It was actually a long spear. Why did he feel that this spear strike had the feeling of a planet exploding? It was an unfathomable killing intent that came from the vicissitudes of ancient times. Not to mention that he was seriously injured. Even if he was not injured, he might not be able to dodge this shot. What a terrifying spear! Guo Yuhai's mouth was overflowing with blood, as he sluggishly looked at Ning Cheng, before slowly falling down. Such a terrifying spear! Ning Cheng could not believe it as he looked at the profound break spear in his hands. At the moment when Guo Yuhai was about to leave, he only had one thought in his mind, and that was to kill this Guo Yuhai. Whether it was for the sake of his escape, or for the sake of the bottom of his heart, he had to kill Guo Yuhai. But at this moment, the most terrifying spear in his mind turned out to be the one he had seen in the Thunder Domain City, the one where the purple spear had pierced through the chest of the powerhouse who had destroyed a planet. That spear was filled with a mysterious trajectory, as it tore through the endless void, but he was actually able to catch a trace of that spear. His spear was not even comparable to a billionth of that purple spear, but he had still managed to kill Guo Yuhai with ease. This was indeed a terrifying spear strike. Ning Cheng felt a burst of exhaustion. His true essence and spiritual consciousness, and even his spiritual will, along with this spear strike, had completely disappeared. At this moment, an extremely terrifying killing intent spread out. This kind of killing intent could not wait to tear Ning Cheng into powder. Ning Cheng immediately shivered. Such a terrifying killing intent, this kind of character, he was absolutely not an opponent. Ning Cheng raised his hand and put away all of Gue Yuhai's magical weapons and ring, while simultaneously turning Gue Yuhai into flying ash with a ball of flame. He immediately took out the escape talisman that Kong Peng Peng had given him, and then put away the puppet that was still fighting with the Class 5 monstrous beast, and instantly activated the escape talisman. Ning Cheng's actions were done in one go, from the beginning to the end. It only took 3 to 5 breaths of time. Although his spiritual consciousness did not sweep out, but that kind of terrifying killing intent made him feel an unprecedented sense of crisis. This sense of crisis made him immediately activate the escape talisman. It did not matter if he had one less escape talisman, but he absolutely could not let himself be caught by the powerhouses of the Gue clan. Once he fell into the hands of those powerhouses, he would be better off dead than alive. Ning Cheng had just left for less than 10 breaths of time, when a figure landed in the place where he and Gue Yuhai were fighting. This was a man who looked to be in his 50s, but had the imposing manner of a monarch overlooking the world. As he stood there, the surrounding vegetation scattered in all directions, showing his powerful cultivation and aura. "Little beast, you dare to kill my son, this old man swears to skin you alive and pull out your soul." After this man checked the surrounding situation, he immediately shouted out in a stern voice. The next moment, he raised his hand and grabbed the Class 5 monstrous beast, while at the same time his figure flashed and once again disappeared. A Class 5 monstrous beast in his hands was just like a kitten, unable to even budge an inch. After the escape talisman was completely consumed, Ning Cheng did not stop, as he stimulated the twin heavenly cloud wings, and crazily continued to escape. The killing intent from before had caused Ning Cheng to tremble with fear. In the face of such a terrifying master, he did not even have the strength to fight back. Not knowing for how long, a faint fishy smell of the sea came over, causing Ning Cheng to stop. He knew that he had already reached the edge of the Yixing Ocean. If he continued to escape, then he would have to rush into the Yixing Ocean. The place that Ning Cheng wanted to go the most was not the Yixing Ocean, but rather the Hua continent. Ning Cheng looked back. With his current cultivation, without anyone to take him to the Hua continent, it was absolutely impossible. Should he continue to hide in a corner of the Lu continent? Ning Cheng quickly put aside this idea. The killing intent that was still lingering around him made him very clear. Since he had killed Gue Yuhai, then no matter where he hid in the Lu continent, he would still be found, and would then face a miserable fate. Strength, in this place, without strength, everything else was just an illusion. Ning Cheng clenched his fists, looking at the endless Yixing Ocean in front of him. He knew that he had to seize the time to come up with a countermeasure, otherwise he would not be able to escape. This was a feeling, there was no reason for it. Moreover, that powerful killing intent was still lingering in his heart. But going to the Yixing Ocean, not to mention that he only had the cultivation of profound congealing realm, even if it was a soul essence cultivator, or even a sea opening realm cultivator, entering the Yixing Ocean would only result in death. Ning Cheng only hesitated for a few breaths, before he made a decision, and rushed into the Yixing Ocean without any hesitation. This was not the time to hesitate. Once the Gue clan united with the other 9-star academies, they would put pressure on the Yixing Ocean's cultivator army, and seal off the entire Yixing Ocean. Then he would not even be able to go to the Yixing Ocean. If he wanted to leave, then he must leave now, at least before the cultivator army seals off the Yixing Ocean. Ning Cheng, in these few breaths, had already figured it out. He wanted to go to the Yixing Ocean to escape, and not to the Tian continent. Going to the Tian continent, he might never be able to reach it, but going to the Yixing Ocean to escape, who could be sure that he would not be able to escape? He had the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. As long as he found an island to hide in, then slowly improve his cultivation. The facts showed that Ning Cheng's decisiveness was not even half a bit wrong. About half an hour after Ning Cheng entered the Yixing Ocean, a few figures appeared at the place where he had just left. That bastard escaped into the Yixing Ocean. A beautiful female cultivator wearing a red robe, with phoenix-like eyes, coldly stared at the boundless Yixing Ocean. The imposing aura emanating from her body, unexpectedly was not even half a point worse than Gue Yuhai's father. Immediately coordinate with the Le Continent's cultivator army in the Yixing Ocean, let them seal off the entire Le Continent's Yixing Ocean. Another voice arrived, at the same time a figure descended. This voice was that of Gue Yuhai's father. He had been constantly sending out messages along the way, letting others block in front of Ning Cheng. He wanted to intercept Ning Cheng, but did not expect that Ning Cheng would still escape into the Yixing Ocean. He secretly hated Ning Cheng in his heart. If Ning Cheng dared to hide in any place in the Le Continent, then he was sure that he would be able to find Ning Cheng. Unfortunately, Ning Cheng had escaped into the Yixing Ocean, the endless Yixing Ocean. His Gue Yuan city could not forcibly order any of the forces in the Yixing Ocean, as such he could only coordinate with them. Letting the Yixing Ocean's cultivator army seal off the Le Continent's Yixing Ocean, to intercept Ning Cheng, they must let the Yixing Ocean's cultivator army obtain enough benefits, only then would they do such a thing. He wants us to send the cultivator army to seal off the Yixing Ocean, just to intercept a puny profound congealing cultivator. Does his Gue Yuan city think that they are the master of the Yixing mainland? Just ignore him, my cultivator army does not have that kind of idle time. Outside the Le Continent's Yixing Ocean, in a palace on a huge island, a man wearing a brown sea dragon cultivator robe waved his hand, and casually spoke a few words. His tone simply did not put the Gue Yuan city in his eyes. This man did not have an shoulder card on his shoulder, but from the position he was sitting in, one could tell that he was the head of the Le Continent's cultivator army. Ha, elder brother Jing Tian, long time no see, don't you recognize this old friend of yours? A loud laugh arrived, while a man in his 50s walked in. I was wondering who it was. It turns out to be the city master of the Gue Yuan city, Gue Zhong. This brown-robed man called Jing Tian also gave a smile as he stood up, but after he finished speaking those words, the smile on his face instantly disappeared, while his complexion sank. City Master Gue broke into my Le Continent's cultivator army's tent for no reason at all. Do you really think that no one can do anything to you because of your profound cultivation? Gue Zhong quickly cupped his fists and spoke. This matter happened in a hurry, because my son had lost his life in the hands of a little beast. This Gue Zhong anxiously came here. I am really sorry about it. In order to make up for my Gue Yuan city's apology, I specially offer a ring. I hope that elder brother Jing Tian can forgive me. Saying that, a ring slowly floated up, and fell into the hands of the brown-robed cultivator. This brown-robed cultivator called Jing Tian grabbed the ring in his hands, and after sweeping it with his spiritual consciousness, he nodded slightly and spoke. In that case, City Master Gue, please take a seat. Someone come, bring the tea to City Master Gue. Chapter 240. Brother Jing Tian, I am really burning with anxiety. If I do not catch this beast, I will not be able to rest in peace. When I have free time later, I will come and have tea with brother Jing Tian. How could Gue Zhong be in the mood to drink tea here? He could not wait to capture Ning Cheng immediately. The brown-robed man laughed and spoke. City Master Gue, your son was killed, presumably with the strength of the Gue Yuan city. You would not have prepared for it, right? With the ability of City Master Gue, it would not be difficult for you to save your son's life. Gue Zhong's teeth itched with hatred. He had already given away the things, but this Jing Tian still used all sorts of excuses. How could he not feel uncomfortable in his heart? When he received the things, why did he not see this guy using all sorts of excuses? Holding back the anger in his heart, Gue Zhong once again took out a jade bottle and sent it out. Although there is a wisp of my son Yuhai's soul left in the Gue Yuan city, but to resurrect this wisp of soul, it is not a simple matter. The materials needed are also not simple. But before that, I must capture this beast that killed my son as a sacrifice to my son's soul. This bottle of spiritual enhancement true nectar was obtained by my son in the law's way. This time I came here in a hurry, so I will give it to brother Jing Tian. Spiritual enhancement true nectar. The spiritual enhancement true nectar grabbed the jade bottle and spoke out in surprise. This thing was of great use to him. He swept his spiritual consciousness into the jade bottle, and found that it really was the spiritual enhancement true nectar, and immediately spoke up with joy, "Many thanks City Master Gui, Ji Guang, you immediately pass on my order, let my cultivator army seal off the passage into the depths of the I Ching Ocean, anyone who enters the depths of the I Ching Ocean must be stopped." "Yes." A dark-faced cultivator simply replied, and immediately turned around and went out. Gui Zhong, on hearing Jing Jingtian pass down the military order, cupped his fists and spoke with satisfaction, "Many thanks to brother Jingtian, I also have to go to the I Ching Ocean to search, I will come back to thank you when I have the time." "Ha, you are welcome, to be able to work for the Gui Yuan city, it is this Jing Jingtian's honor, I will see off City Master Gui." The brown-robed man laughed, and very politely sent off Gui Zhong. After the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn, Jing Jingtian returned to his tent, but his complexion was not as warm as when he was with Gui Zhong, but was very gloomy. At this moment, the black-faced cultivator called Ji Guang came in once again. He cupped his fists towards Jing Jingtian and said, "Lord Commander, I have already issued an ordinary order. I estimate that it will take at least half a day for the lockdown to begin." "Well done." "This son of a bitch actually dared to barge into my residence just because his cultivation is higher than mine. He even wanted me to lock up my own people. That person called Ning Cheng was from the Jia continent's army, killing his son, ha ha, killing him was good, killing him was wonderful, killing him was really good. Bah, is his butt whiter than a woman's butt?" Jing Jingtian spat out a mouthful of saliva without any grace and cursed loudly. The dark-faced cultivator called Ji Guang spoke with some worry in his voice, "I heard that the cultivator called Ning Cheng is the junior commander of the Jia continent's army, and only has the cultivation of profound congealing realm. In just half a day, I don't know if he would be able to escape. Half a day is the slowest time that my Lu continent's cultivator army can use to seal off this part of the sea. If he still cannot escape, then he deserves to die. The Gui Yuan city is a 9-star academy, although there are no people from the Gui Yuan city under my command, but we cannot afford to lose all decorum with them. Besides, seeing that he brought so many things with him, I will help him this time." Jing Jingtian once again sat down and spoke. Ji Guang quickly echoed, "Yes, if we issue a golden order, then in at most half an hour, we would be able to seal off this part of the I Ching Ocean Sea." Gui Zhong, who had already left, did not understand what an ordinary order or a golden order was, as such he simply disdained to understand these things of the cultivator army. At this time in the I Ching Ocean, Ning Cheng was like a madman, constantly burning his true essence, while wielding his twin heavenly cloud wings. He guessed that the Gui Yuan city would definitely be able to affect the Lu continent's cultivator army, as such he wanted to escape to the depths of the I Ching Ocean before the Lu continent's cultivator army sealed off this part of the sea. As for the monstrous beasts in the I Ching Ocean, or even the other dangers, he did not care about them at this moment. But after an hour, Ning Cheng felt that something was wrong, although the I Ching Ocean's cultivators had been dispatched, and were also arranging a grand array to seal off the area, but their speed was not very fast. In his view, this speed could only be described as slow. This gave him the time to rush out of this grand array, and enter the I Ching Ocean. No matter what the reason was, Ning Cheng desperately wielded his twin heavenly cloud wings. It was not until he saw the huge grand array of the cultivator army slowly closing up behind him, that he felt slightly relieved. Even so, he still did not dare to stop, and continued to fly forward. What, that Ning Cheng not only brought Yan Ji out of the law's way, but also killed Gui Yuhai? Even if he had the ability, a profound congealing cultivator would not be able to kill Gui Yuhai, right? In an immortal cave of the Wu Nian Academy that was rich in spiritual qi, a Taoist priestess holding a flying sword stood up in disbelief. "Master, did you say that Ning Cheng came out, and even killed Gui Yuhai?" Nalan Rushue, who was standing on the side, also could not believe it and asked. The Taoist priestess had already calmed down from the shock, as she nodded and spoke, "The news that I just received was like this, Ning Cheng and Yan Ji had disguised themselves and went to the Dragon and Phoenix City, but were stopped by Yan Ji's elder sister Yan Yu. Yan Ji really was lost, and instead helped Ning Cheng to attack Yan Yu. Unexpectedly, Yan Yu took away Yan Ji, but instead let Ning Cheng go. This is not like Yan Yu's usual style. That Gue Yuhai was also in the Dragon and Phoenix City watching all of this, and then chased after Ning Cheng out of the Dragon and Phoenix City. He wanted to secretly capture Ning Cheng, but did not expect that he would be killed instead. Master, I suspect that Yan Ji was not lost by Ning Cheng. Perhaps this news is just a false rumor. It is also possible that Ning Cheng is not a devil cultivator, but... Nalan Rushua thought of the cosmic true devil axe that Ning Cheng had used, and that kind of ruthless devilish aura. She was not sure whether Ning Cheng was a devil cultivator or not. The Taoist priestess waved her hand and spoke. So many people saw it, moreover there was even a crystal ball recording it, so there is no need to doubt whether Ning Cheng is a devil cultivator or not. You were indeed taken advantage of by that Ning Cheng, but you have not lost your chastity, as such you do not need to take it to heart. I did not think that this Ning Cheng who only has the cultivation of profound congealing realm, would actually be able to kill Gue Yuhai. After a pause, this Taoist priestess suddenly looked at Nalan Rushua and asked, Rushua, initially you had seen Ning Cheng kill more than 20 profound core cultivators. Do you think that Ning Cheng is a match for Gue Yuhai? Nalan Rushua pondered for a while, before she spoke. Master, although Ning Cheng had killed more than 20 profound core cultivators, but the fact is that there were only 2 or 3 people who could really threaten Ning Cheng. The main reason was because Ning Cheng's devil axe was simply too ferocious, and was able to suppress many of the cultivators who did not have a firm mind. To be exact, it had a hint of sneak attack. Moreover, many of them were killed by Ning Cheng using the broken core pearl. The Taoist priestess nodded. What you said is right. Those cultivators who dare to hide at the entrance of the second segment of the Law's Way, would not dare to enter the third segment. They are people who do not have a firm mind. Continue. I have seen Gue Yuhai fight, although after I came out of the Law's Way, I do not know Gue Yuhai's realm, but I can guess that as long as Ning Cheng has not advanced to the profound core realm, he should not be a match for Gue Yuhai. I really did not think that he would actually be able to kill Gue Yuhai. Nalan Rushua spoke with a sigh. The Taoist priestess was silent for a while. Killing Gue Yuhai is impossible. Gue Yuhai is the Gue clan's premier genius, and is also the son of the city master. It is impossible for the Gue clan to not have any preparations. As long as there is a trace of his spiritual soul left behind, the Gue clan would be able to help Gue Yuhai reshape his corporeal body. It is just that the price would be too terrible. Moreover, Gue Yuhai inherited a Buddhist spiritual technique, as such his cultivation should be more formidable the further he progressed. Once Gue Yuhai advanced to the soul essence realm, then he would definitely be much more powerful compared to ordinary soul essence cultivators. But I did not think that this Ning Cheng, a trivial rogue cultivator, would unexpectedly have this kind of ability. Just what kind of cultivation method is he cultivating? Is he even able to fight against the Lu continent's Gue Yuhai? Master, that Ning Cheng did not commit any evil acts against my Wu Nian Academy. Moreover, he even saved me and senior apprentice brother Cheng. Can't our Wu Nian Academy get rid of the arrest warrant for him? Nalan Rushua suddenly remembered Yuing and Yu Yuanhua who had left, but she did not dare to speak out about this matter. Yuing and Yu Yuanhua were also core disciples of the Wu Nian Academy, but their master had gone into seclusion, which allowed the two of them to leave the Wu Nian Academy under the pretext of going out to gain experience. The Taoist priestess glanced at Nalan Rushua and spoke, "What do you know? Now we have to cooperate with the Gue Yuan city to capture Ning Cheng." That Yan Ji was also saved by Ning Cheng, but now. Not only was her purine taken away, but she was also lost. I really do not understand why Yan Yu did not kill Ning Cheng. Rushua, within a few years, with the cooperation of the cultivators from the 9 continents and the Yi Xing Ocean's cultivators, the Lu continent will definitely be able to reach the Tian continent. You do not have to worry about those trivial matters. You must seize the time to advance to the soul essence realm, and obtain the quota to go to the Lu continent. Yes. Nalan Rushua quickly replied. Ning Cheng came to a stop on a barren reef island. He really could not walk anymore. Moreover, he also knew that he could not continue to walk, with his cultivation. If he dared to continue to walk, then he would definitely end up buried in the belly of the monstrous beasts in the deep sea. At the same time, Ning Cheng also knew that he was still in danger. He did not dare to continue to enter the deep sea, as that expert who gave him the killing intent before could continue to look for him. He could not stay on this reef island. Ning Cheng knew that he did not have the strength to continue to walk, but he also did not dare to stay here and die. He did not even dare to hide in the miniature world. The miniature world was a ring. If he lost the ring here, then under the spiritual consciousness of an expert, it would simply not be able to hide. Ning Cheng jumped into the sea. He decided to find a place on the seabed, bury the ring, and then hide in it. Although it was still very dangerous, but Ning Cheng really could not find a better way. This place was not the deepest part of the Yixing Ocean, but the seawater was incomparably deep. A powerful aura swept over Ning Cheng's body, causing Ning Cheng to not dare to move forward. These terrifying auras definitely belonged to powerful high-level monstrous beasts. Just when Ning Cheng did not know what to do, a terrifying suction force suddenly arrived. This suction force completely sucked away the shoal of fish around Ning Cheng. Even Ning Cheng found it difficult to struggle against this powerful suction force. Chapter 241. Ning Cheng suddenly thought of an idea in his heart. If he could place the miniature world in the belly of a fast fish, then let the fish carry him. Wouldn't that be wonderful? However, Ning Cheng quickly put this idea aside, not to mention that this fish would once again bring him into the Le Continent's Yixing Ocean. The stomach acid of this fish might even corrode his miniature world. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng desperately circulated his true essence, wanting to rush out of this powerful suction. Ning Cheng had just gotten rid of this powerful suction, when he felt the surrounding seawater once again being rolled up, as if there was a broken dam. A force immediately brought him up. At this time, Ning Cheng was completely exhausted, and no longer had the ability to resist. In just a moment, he fell into a dark and sealed space. Swallowed by another fish, this was the first thing that came to Ning Cheng's mind. The powerful stomach acid almost made Ning Cheng vomit. He did not hesitate to take out his profound break spear, and piercing a hole in the surrounding with his spear, he instantly rushed out. A bloody smell arrived. Ning Cheng swept out with his spiritual consciousness, knowing that he had already escaped from the big fish's stomach. However, a violent vibration spread out. Ning Cheng guessed that his spear should have pierced the big fish, causing the big fish to frantically escape. Ning Cheng sighed. He did not want to escape through the fish, but in the end, he was still swallowed into the fish's belly. It seems that he had to escape through the fish. This fish was extremely huge, and its speed was also incomparably crazy. As such, it was suitable for him to escape. Ning Cheng took off the ring in his hand, fixed it between the bone spurs of the fish, and then entered his own miniature world. He only hoped that this fish would not escape into the inner sea. If this fish really escaped into the inner sea, then he could only return to the bottom of the Blood River. Returning to the lush green miniature world, Ning Cheng's spirit was shaken, and he finally calmed down. He washed his whole body, and removed the things that he used to disguise himself, before he went to the spiritual enhancement True Nectar pool and sat down. Grey Toot Toot was very full from eating, and was currently sleeping soundly next to the spiritual enhancement True Nectar pool with his round belly. Ning Cheng did not pay any attention to Grey Toot Toot, and the first thing he did was to sort out Gue Yuhai's things. Gue Yuhai was the Gue Yuan City's premier genius, and was also the focus of the Gue Yuan City's training. As such, he could not let him down. One had to know that for a long time, he might only be able to stay in his miniature world. If Gue Yuhai's ring did not have many things, then he would really be sad. That golden greatsword gave off an aura of Sanskrit chants. Although he could not make out the grade of this sword, Ning Cheng knew that this great sword was definitely a good thing. Although he did not like this sword, but he knew that it would definitely be useful in the future. It was a golden chain with a faint golden spiritual nature. It was obvious that it was a superior grade spirit artifact. Ning Cheng then took out the fist-sized black thing. This thing felt like it was nothing in his hands. It was very light and dexterous. Ning Cheng did not continue to open Gue Yuhai's ring, rather he began to refine the great sword. Even if he did not cultivate Buddhist magic techniques, he could still refine it for later use. After a whole day, Ning Cheng had only managed to refine half of the giant sword, but he was not interested in continuing to refine it. He could feel that the aura of this giant sword was somewhat in conflict with his own mysterious yellow origin. This golden giant sword was called the true Brahma sword. It was a half-true artifact, and was a very powerful Buddhist magical weapon. Ning Cheng put away the true Brahma sword and continued to refine the golden chain and the dark thing. Unlike the true Brahma sword, Ning Cheng was very satisfied with these two things. The golden chain was a high-quality high-grade spiritual artifact, called polar gold binding rope. When facing an enemy, it could bind the opponent's magical artifact, and could even bind their spiritual consciousness. It was somewhat similar to his 5 elements treasure fall copper coin. When facing an enemy, it could bind the opponent's magical artifact, and could even bind the opponent's spiritual consciousness. It was somewhat similar to his 5 elements treasure fall copper coin. That pitch-black thing gave Ning Cheng a pleasant surprise. It was a net-like magical artifact, called the Underworld Lock Soul Net. Moreover, it was also a best-quality spiritual artifact. When fighting with the opponent, it could catch them off guard, and then capture them alive. Ning Cheng was secretly afraid in his heart. Fortunately, he was anxious to end the fight quickly, and did not let Gue Yuhai activate the Underworld Lock Soul Net. Otherwise, the outcome of the fight would have been very difficult to predict. This Gue Yuhai really was a rich man. He had not even opened his ring, and had already obtained so many good things. Once he opened his ring, he did not know what kind of surprise he would have inside. Ning Cheng took these refined magical artifacts as his own, and at the same time began to grind away the restrictions on Gue Yuhai's ring. Ning Cheng's understanding of array formations and restrictions had already reached a very high level. As such, in just the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn, he was able to grind away the restrictions on the ring. When Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness fell into the ring, he immediately exclaimed in surprise, "This Gue Yuhai was simply too rich." Inside the ring, there were also a few offensive magical artifacts, as well as a Great Seal defensive magical artifact. All of these magical artifacts were of the highest quality. There were piles of spirit stones inside the ring surrounded by restrictions. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness slightly swept through them, and found that these spirit stones added up to at least 4 to 5 million. In addition to that, there were also a variety of dazzling pills, and even the artifact crafting materials and spiritual grasses were all high-quality goods. But what made Ning Cheng puzzled was that at the corner of the ring, there were several agate red jade boxes, which his spiritual consciousness unexpectedly could not sweep into. Ning Cheng grabbed one of the jade boxes, and raised his hand to break the restrictions on the jade box, before opening the jade box. A faint fragrance came out. Ning Cheng was afraid that it was poisonous, and quickly held his breath. But the next moment Ning Cheng was dumbfounded. This jade box was filled with a variety of women's undergarments. Some were as thin as a cicada's wings, while some were sexy as if they were alive. This Gue Yuhai was the Gue Yuan city's premier genius. Moreover, he also looked incomparably handsome. What could he not have? How could he have such a strange hobby? Ning Cheng shook his head. This kind of person really could not be measured with common sense. He also did not know if these undergarments had been worn before, or if they were brand new. Looking at the materials of these clothes, the value of these clothes was much higher than the materials inside Gue Yuhai's ring. Although Ning Cheng did not have such a hobby, it did not mean that he could not sell these clothes. Some of these clothes were even equivalent to a magical weapon. If these boxes were filled with similar clothes, then perhaps he could buy them for hundreds of thousands of spirit stones. Ning Cheng then opened the rest of the jade boxes, and really found that these jade boxes were filled with women's undergarments. When Ning Cheng's eyes fell on one of the light blue undergarments, he suddenly froze. This undergarments had a dark blood stain on it. It was obviously a piece of clothing that had been worn before. Ning Cheng picked up the undergarments, and found that there was a faint palm print in the middle of the undergarments. This son of a bitch really was not a good thing. He did not know about the other clothes, but this piece of clothing was definitely something that Gue Yuhai had killed. Seeing this bloodstain, Ning Qing suddenly felt a little uncomfortable in his heart. He took out a jade box and put the undergarments into it and said, "I do not know who you are, but that Gue Yuhai has already been killed by me, which is equivalent to helping you take revenge." Saying that, Ning Qing put the jade box aside, and put the boxes of undergarments back in their original places. Now that he had a lot of spirit stones on him, he did not need to sell these things for money. Perhaps one day he might need them. Ning Qing did not care about the several high-grade and medium-grade offensive spiritual artifacts, as he picked up the big seal and began to refine it. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, Ning Qing came to know that this big seal was a defensive magical weapon, a high-grade spiritual artifact red cover golden seal. What a great harvest! Transferring all these things into his ring, Ning Qing could not help but sigh in his heart. Although he had killed a lot of profound core cultivators, but he had never met a cultivator who had even 1% of the things in Gue Yuhai's ring. Sweeping out with his spiritual consciousness, Ning Qing could only vaguely see the crazily flowing seawater outside, showing that the fish was still desperately moving forward. Ning Qing was too lazy to care about where the big fish had gone, and simply arranged a spiritual gathering array formation to cultivate. He knew that it would be very difficult for him to advance, but absorbing the spiritual qi to increase the thickness of the true essence in his core lake was still possible. Le Continent's Yen Clan. Although the Yen Clan was not an 8-star academy, but in the Blue Cloud City, it was second only to the Blue Cloud 8-star academy. Moreover, the clan head Yen Yoshuang was already a cultivator at the Great Circle of the Soul Sculpting Realm, and was only a step away from advancing to the Sea Opening Realm. At this time, the Yen clan was holding a clan meeting, although Yen Ji was one of the most outstanding disciples of the Yen clan, but with just the return of Yen Ji, it was not enough for the Yen clan to hold a clan meeting with such great fanfare. One of the reasons why the Yen clan attached so much importance to Yen Ji was that Yen Ji's elder sister Yen Yu had advanced to the early stages of the soul sculpting realm, and her cultivation was second only to the clan head Yen Yoshuang, who was at the great circle of the soul sculpting realm, and the elder Yen Yohuan, who was at the intermediate stages of the soul sculpting realm. The more important reason was that Yen Ji had undergone a huge change. Yen Ji had already reverted to her original appearance, but she was silently sitting next to Yen Yu. Ning Qing had told her to follow Yen Yu, so she could not leave Yen Yu. This time when Yen Ji came out of the law's way, her body was unexpectedly scoured by the spiritual enhancement true nectar. It can be seen that she had obtained a huge opportunity in the law's way. A man with a goatee spoke out in a deep voice. He was the second elder of the Yen clan, Yen Yohuan, and was also the elder with the most power in the Yen clan other than the clan head. To be able to use the spiritual enhancement true nectar to scour the body, just how much spiritual enhancement true nectar would it take? A woman with the cultivation of soul essence realm exclaimed. But the fact is that Yen Ji's ring does not contain even a single drop of spiritual enhancement true nectar. It can be seen that the spiritual enhancement true nectar that Yen Ji discovered was snatched away by that devil cultivator Ning Qing. Yen Yohuan spoke in a gloomy tone. Yen Yu suddenly spoke up. My younger sister should have encountered something in the law's way, causing her to lose her consciousness. That spiritual enhancement true nectar might not necessarily have been discovered by her. No matter who discovered it, it is now certain that Ning Qing has a lot of spiritual enhancement true nectar on him. I think that we should capture that Ning Qing in the shortest possible time. Yen Yu is still in the Dragon and Phoenix City. Letting Ning Qing go, it really would not be wise. Yen Yohuan glanced at Yen Yu and spoke. Yen Yoshuang secretly nodded. If the Yen clan could obtain so much spiritual enhancement true nectar, then it could be imagined that the Yen clan would definitely become a great clan on the same level as the Gui clan. Yen Yu's willow eyebrows stood up, as she spoke in a cold voice. So Elder Huan is teaching me a lesson? She had already advanced to the soul sculpting realm, and was also an elder of the Yen clan. As such, she did not dare to drag this Yen Yohuan down. Chapter 242. When Yen Yoshuang saw Yen Yu stand up in a bad mood, she hurriedly pressed down with her hand and said, Everyone is thinking for the Yen family. There is no need to quarrel over such a small matter. Elder Huan was thinking for the Yen clan, and Yen Yu was also thinking for the Yen clan. From what I see, Yen Ji's situation should be because she has fallen into some kind of inexplicable problem, and after a long time, she will naturally wake up. Since Yen Ji's body had already been cleansed by the spiritual enhancement True Nectar, then from now on she would be the focus of the Yen clan's training. Elder Huan's proposal is also quite good. If we can capture Ning Cheng, then the amount of spiritual enhancement True Nectar that we have would be of great help to the Yen clan. Besides, the Blue Cloud Academy is also trying to capture Ning Cheng, so we can not only make friends with the Blue Cloud Academy, but also make friends with the Gue Yuan City. Yen Youhuan and Yen Yu were both elites of the Yen family. The family head, Yen Youshuang, offered a few words of support to both sides. This was already the 9th month since Ning Cheng had fled to the Yixing Ocean, although the Gue Yuan city was filled with monstrous anger and wanted to capture Ning Cheng, but in the end they had no choice but to return to the Gue Yuan city with their tails between their legs. 9 months without even the slightest shadow. If Ning Cheng was not swallowed by the monstrous beasts, then he must have really escaped to the depths of the Yixing Ocean. Even if Ning Cheng managed to escape to the depths of the Yixing Ocean, he would still end up dead. However, Gue Zhong could not personally capture Ning Cheng, which made him extremely unhappy in his heart. At this time, Ning Cheng once again opened his eyes. He had completely absorbed more than 2 million spirit stones. After 9 months, his cultivation did not increase at all. Instead, the true essence in his core lake was thicker than before. What made Ning Cheng helpless was that, as he continued to absorb the spiritual qi for his cultivation, his core lake was getting thicker and wider, which made it more and more difficult for him to advance. Fortunately, as more and more quintessential essence gathered in his core lake, he didn't level up, but his strength became stronger and stronger. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept out, but found that although the seawater outside was still moving, it was not as fast as before. Should he continue cultivating, or should he go out and take a look? Ning Cheng had just thought of this, when he found that the fish he was in had suddenly stopped moving. Even if Ning Cheng was inside the ring, his spiritual consciousness could still capture the frightened look on the fish's face. Not long after, Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness caught sight of a powerful stream of water rushing through his spiritual consciousness. The aura of this stream of water immediately made Ning Cheng understand that this was definitely a terrifying high-level monstrous beast. It was better not to go out. Ning Cheng closed his eyes in distress. He was sure that the fish he was in was not a powerful monster. At most, it was just a relatively large fish. The high-level sea demons at the bottom of the sea wouldn't eat this fish, but it didn't mean that they wouldn't eat him. The fish was just an ordinary fish, so it was normal that the sirens didn't want to eat it. But he was a cultivator, so the sea demons would definitely be very interested. Unfortunately, Gue Yuhai did not have a flight-type magical weapon inside his ring. If he had a flight-type magical weapon, then he could sit on a flight-type magical weapon and try to fly at high altitude. For a cultivator like Gue Yuhai, if he had a magical weapon, then it would be absolutely impossible for it to be a low-leveled flight-type spiritual artifact. That's not right. Gue Yuhai is the Gue Yuan city's premier genius. How could he not have a flight-type magical weapon? Did he miss something? Not to say about Gue Yuhai, even he himself had a flight-type spiritual artifact. Ning Cheng once again took out all of Gue Yuhai's belongings, and checked them one by one. He found that there were several escape talismans. Each of them was not worse than the one Kong Peng Peng gave him, but he did not find any flight-type magical weapons. After thinking for a long time, Ning Cheng once again picked up the true Brahma sword. This was a semi-true artifact, moreover it was a Buddhist magical weapon. Because he did not like Buddhist magical weapons, so he only refined it halfway, and did not continue to refine it. Regardless of whether this sword was a flight-type magical weapon or not, he had to first refine this sword. After more than a day passed by, Ning Cheng thoroughly refined the huge true Brahma sword in his hands. At this moment he finally understood why he did not find a flight-type magical weapon in Gue Yuhai's ring. It turned out that the true Brahma sword in his hands was a flight-type magical weapon. Even Ning Cheng did not think that the true Brahma sword in his hands was not only a flight-type magical weapon, but also a low-grade true artifact. Before he had thought that the true Brahma sword was a semi-true artifact, that was because he had not refined this sword, but now that he had refined it, this sword was impressively a low-grade true artifact. Ning Cheng had not come to the Yixing mainland for a day or two, as such he knew that in the Yixing mainland, it was not a simple matter to drive a low-grade true artifact. Only if one's soul was extremely powerful, or if one was a soul essence cultivator, would it be possible. He did not think that this Gue Yuhai actually had a bit of skill, and was unexpectedly able to drive a low-grade true artifact. The true Brahma sword in his hands was a 2-in-1 Buddhist magical weapon. When used as a flight-type magical weapon, it also had another name, the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel. But this true Brahma Buddha fire wheel not only needed to be driven by true essence and spiritual consciousness, but it also needed the power of hope. Ning Cheng had never heard of the so-called power of hope, not to mention using the power of hope to drive the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel. The heritage of these big academies and clans was really not something that a rogue cultivator like him could compare to. Even if this kind of good thing was given to him, he would not be able to use it. Ning Cheng tried to use his true essence and spiritual consciousness to drive the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel, but after a long time he was only able to stimulate a few Arhat will shadows. Wanting to make the true Brahma Buddha fire will fly, he simply could not even think about it. After tossing and turning for a few days, Ning Cheng had no choice but to put the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel to one side. Although he knew that this flight-type magical weapon, its speed would definitely be top-notch, but unfortunately, he did not have the ability to do so. Once again sorting out Gue Yuhai's things, he could not find any other good things, causing Ning Cheng to feel somewhat disappointed in his heart. If he continued to stay in this fish's stomach, then when would he be able to reach it? If he had tens of millions or even hundreds of millions of spirit stones, then it would have been fine. But now that he had a few million spirit stones on him, it was not even enough for a year of cultivation. What about a year later? What about 2 years later? Ning Cheng scratched his head, as he thought that he could not just sit around and do nothing, and just refine pills or craft talismans every day, right? He would definitely go crazy. With only a mute grey toot-toot accompanying him, wouldn't this be no different from being locked up? Even if Ning Cheng was not interested in alchemy, or crafting talismans, he had no choice but to do it. Another 2 months passed by. Ning Cheng reluctantly put down the work in his hands. He really could not stand this kind of life anymore. Taking out his own 5 elements treasure fall copper coin, after refining it for more than 10 days, he was able to refine the restrictions to the 8th layer, and then he was unable to refine it anymore. There was also a mirror. This was the thing called Han Xiang, but Ning Cheng could not find anything different about this mirror. As for the bead inside the mirror, he had already thrown it into the mysterious yellow bead and disappeared. Putting down the mirror, Ning Cheng grabbed an imperial jade seal. If he was not bored, he would have forgotten about this imperial jade seal. This imperial jade seal was something that he had obtained in the desert. The imperial jade seal had a pale golden color. Not only was it very exquisite, but it was also very heavy, and incomparably hard. There was a bird engraved on top of the imperial jade seal. Even now Ning Cheng did not know what kind of monstrous beast it was. At the bottom of the imperial jade seal, there were 4 words Lani country. When Ning Cheng was in the true condensation realm, he had tried to refine it a few times, but it did not have any effect. This time Ning Cheng's cultivation had already reached the profound congealing 7th level, plus he did not have anything else to do, so he simply took out the imperial jade seal and tried to refine it again. As Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness tried to communicate with the imperial jade seal, he was surprised to find that the imperial jade seal had somewhat loosened, so he immediately inserted his spiritual sense into it. An incomparably majestic aura was captured by him. At the same time he could feel countless pious people worshipping this golden imperial palace. Then he saw countless people worshipping in the temples of the Lani country. These temples seemed to have the same statue placed in front of them. These statues seemed to be the same majestic man. Moreover, the imperial jade seal was held in the hands of this majestic man. Immediately Ning Cheng once again caught sight of it, along with the worship of countless people. The imperial jade seal in the hands of this majestic man was becoming more and more brilliant, while the aura coming from the man's body was also becoming more and more intense. Power of hope. A few months ago, Ning Cheng did not understand what the power of hope was, but at this time he was able to clearly grasp these two words. This imperial jade seal contained the power of hope. It was the power of hope of a country's people. If this imperial jade seal contained the power of hope, then wouldn't it mean that he could use the power of hope in this imperial jade seal to drive the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel? Ning Cheng instantly became excited. He did not think that he would always carry this imperial jade seal with him. However, Ning Cheng was sure that this imperial jade seal was not just simply storing the power of hope. This imperial jade seal definitely had other uses. Knowing that the imperial jade seal contained the power of hope, moreover it might be able to drive the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel, Ning Cheng continued to refine it day and night. After a month, Ning Cheng finally stopped refining the imperial jade seal. This imperial jade seal was something that he could not completely refine. Ning Cheng had a feeling that no matter how much he refined this imperial jade seal, he would not be able to completely refine this imperial jade seal. Fortunately, he did not care about it, as long as he was able to mobilize the power of hope within it. After coming into contact with the power of hope, Ning Cheng immediately remembered the jade boxes of women's undergarments that he had seen before. He then opened one of the boxes, and picked up a thin cicada's wing-like undergarments, before sweeping it with his spiritual sense. Sure enough, there was a faint power of hope within it, although it was extremely faint, but Ning Cheng was still able to detect it. Unfortunately, I know too little, as such I have no way of knowing why the undergarments that Gue Yuhai obtained contained a faint power of hope. Ning Cheng muttered to himself, as he continued to put the undergarments in his hands back into the box. He then opened the blood-stained undergarments, but this undergarments did not contain any power of hope, only a deep resentment. Before coming into contact with the power of hope, Ning Cheng was not able to feel this kind of aura, but now he could immediately feel it. Ning Cheng was now convinced that he could drive the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel with the help of the imperial jade seal. As such he did not want to stay inside the fish's belly. He came out of the ring, and wearing the ring on his hand, he directly brought out his profound break spear, and with a single thrust of his spear tore open a bloody hole in the fish's abdomen, before rushing out of the fish's belly. Not to mention that he was eaten by this fish. Even if he took the initiative to go in order to escape, Ning Cheng would not hesitate to tear open the fish's belly with his spear. The several hundred-meter-long fish was struck by Ning Cheng's spear in its abdomen, causing a whirlpool of pain, before it instantly rushed out, disappearing from Ning Cheng's spiritual sense in just a twinkling of an eye. Ning Cheng directly rushed out of the sea, not waiting for him to bring out the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel. A violent fishy smell immediately swept over him. Ning Cheng's complexion immediately changed. He did not think that his luck would be so bad. As soon as he came out he would encounter a Class 6 monstrous beast. Chapter 243. This kind of aura definitely belonged to a Class 6 monstrous beast without a doubt. Ning Cheng simply did not have the time to see what this monstrous beast looked like, as he immediately stimulated his twin heavenly cloud wings. Even if his strength had greatly increased, he absolutely would not be a match for a Class 6 monstrous beast. Ning Cheng had just stepped aside, when a dark red shadow swept past the place where he had just stood a moment ago. The teleportation of the twin heavenly cloud wings allowed Ning Cheng to escape. At the same time he was able to clearly see the appearance of this monstrous beast. Its whole body was covered in a blood-colored glow, its speed was incomparably fast, moreover it also had 2 heads. Ning Cheng recognized this monstrous beast. It was the commonly seen rainbow blood dual-headed crocodile from the Yixing Ocean. This kind of monstrous beast was extremely fast, moreover it specialized in sucking blood. Its skin was very valuable. The skin of a Class 6 rainbow blood dual-headed crocodile could even be refined into a very good defensive and flight-type magical weapon. But no matter how good it was, Ning Cheng knew that in the face of this kind of monstrous beast, he could only escape. This rainbow blood dual-headed crocodile did not manage to catch up to Ning Cheng for the first time, but instead slowed down for a moment. It seemed to be wondering how this little cultivator could escape with its speed. Ning Cheng did not wait for the rainbow blood dual-headed crocodile to catch up to him again, as he stimulated his twin heavenly cloud wings and once again flew away. This rainbow blood dual-headed crocodile unexpectedly was not willing, and instead chased after Ning Cheng. Its speed was even a bit faster than Ning Cheng's twin heavenly cloud wings. Ning Cheng was greatly shocked. He quickly brought out the true Brahma sword and transformed it into the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel. Now that he was being targeted by this monstrous beast, even if he escaped to the sea, he would not be able to escape, unless he used an escape talisman. Ning Cheng knew the preciousness of an escape talisman, as such he was not willing to use an escape talisman easily. The true Brahma Buddha fire wheel was stimulated by Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng directly landed on top of the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel, stimulating the power of hope from the imperial jade seal. Swish, it accelerated. The huge inertia caused Ning Cheng to directly sit down on the Buddha fire wheel. But at this time Ning Cheng completely ignored the matter of him falling down, as he looked at the surroundings of the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel in shock. This kind of speed was something that Ning Cheng had encountered for the first time. His spiritual consciousness was completely unable to adapt to. After a while, his divine sense was barely able to adapt to this kind of fast-flying magic weapon. At this moment Ning Cheng was able to see that outside of this true Brahma Buddha fire wheel, there were 4 arhats. These 4 arhats were stepping on huge fire wheels that were crazily rolling around. The 4 Buddha fire wheels drove the entire true Brahma Buddha fire wheel magical weapon, just like a meteor rolling away. Ning Cheng stood up and looked back, but where was the shadow of the rainbow blood dual-headed crocodile? What a terrifying flying treasure! This speed was too terrifying. The true Brahma Buddha fire wheel he was in was just like a windmill, surrounded by array formation restrictions. Even if its speed was incomparably terrifying, it was still unable to feel even the slightest sound of the wind outside. The power of hope in the imperial jade seal poured into the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel as if it was free of charge, causing the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel to become even faster. Ning Cheng found that even with his ability, he could not slow down this true Brahma Buddha fire wheel. Ning Cheng was sure that if he used this kind of speed to escape from the Lu continent, then even the crucible transformation experts of the Lu continent would not necessarily be able to catch up with him. After the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn, Ning Cheng finally calmed down. He immediately began to exert control over the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel. He wanted to make the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel move forward under his control. He could not just fly around aimlessly like this. At this time, the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel was rushing towards the sky diagonally. If he did not find a way to control the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel as soon as possible, then he did not know where this true Brahma Buddha fire wheel would fly to. After an hour, Ning Cheng still could not control the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel. Moreover, he also could not stop the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel from absorbing the power of hope and continuing to fly. Since he had already refined this flight-type magical weapon, he knew how to control the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel. However, the imperial jade seal was not completely refined by him, although he could draw out the power of hope to supply it to the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel, but he was not able to control it. Moreover, the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel was a low-grade true artifact. Even if he managed to refine it, it would still be extremely difficult for him to control it with his current cultivation. The true Brahma Buddha fire wheel was getting higher and higher, while not even the shadow of the I Ching Ocean could be seen in the surroundings. At this time, being anxious would not be of any use. Ning Cheng sat down and tried to use his spiritual consciousness to control the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel. After a few more hours passed by, Ning Cheng finally mobilized his spiritual consciousness to control the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel, which continued to ascend, and changed it to a straight line. But he still could not control the power of hope within the imperial jade seal. Ning Cheng continued to refine the imperial jade seal, while at the same time sweeping out with his spiritual consciousness once again. He wanted to see, after a few hours of crazy ascent, just where did he reach. This time when Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept out, a kind of extremely berserk aura directly strangled his spiritual consciousness. At the same time, this kind of aura unexpectedly passed through his spiritual consciousness and bombarded his sea of consciousness. It was as if countless messy wind edges and gravel were mixed together, as they rolled up and smashed into his sea of consciousness. Ning Cheng's face turned pale under this kind of attack, as his sea of consciousness exploded in pain, causing him to almost spit out a mouthful of blood. Chaotic star space. Ning Cheng cried out in horror. He did not expect that the true Brahma Buddha fire will would bring him to such a high place. Regarding the chaotic star space, Ning Cheng had read about it from some of the messy jade strips that he had collected, and knew that this was not a normal astral chi. Rather, it existed in a layer of space outside of the atmosphere. This layer of space was between the atmosphere and the void. In this place, there were all kinds of laws that were extremely chaotic. Chaotic astral winds and meteorites would sweep around all year round. He heard that even crucible transformation cultivators would not be able to come to this kind of place. Therefore, it was also called the chaotic star space. How could the true Brahma Buddha fire will bring him to such a terrifying place? One had to know that after passing through this layer of chaotic star space, one would arrive at the void outside of the world. Fortunately, the true Brahma Buddha fire will had not brought him to the void outside of the world. However, Ning Cheng was also aware that even if the true Brahma Buddha fire will was more powerful, he was afraid that it would not be able to bring him to the void outside of the world. The void outside of the world referred to the vast void outside of the world. It was something that one would need to tear through space in order to go there. Some of the top experts were able to pass through the atmosphere that covered the I Ching mainland, through the chaotic star space layer, and then tear through the world boundary and enter the void. There were a few powerhouses that could tear through space at any time and from any place, but this kind of powerhouse only existed in the legends. At least in the I Ching mainland, there was no record of it. Ning Cheng had only heard from Taishu Yi that an ancestor of his Taishu clan was able to do it. A top expert that could pass through the chaotic star space layer was far more powerful than a crucible transformation cultivator. For an ordinary crucible transformation cultivator, they could not even reach the chaotic star space layer, not to mention tearing through the world boundary and entering the void. Originally, when Ning Cheng saw these things, he had only regarded it as an anecdote of the I Ching mainland. After all, a crucible transformation cultivator was already the highest existence in the 9 continents. He did not expect that he would be able to come into contact with the chaotic star space so quickly. Moreover, he was even able to fly through it. Although it was the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel that brought him here, but if not for the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel's magical weapon restriction, then he would have already been torn to pieces by the chaotic star space layer. After the initial shock, Ning Cheng began to slowly get used to it, and then he began to slowly penetrate out with his spiritual consciousness. This place reminded him of the Angry Axe Lotus Flower Pond in the Angry Axe Valley. Perhaps it would be good for him to temper his spiritual consciousness in this place. Ning Cheng did not have a spiritual consciousness cultivation method, but in this chaotic star space, he was able to figure out his own set of methods. Through this set of methods, he was not able to stretch out his spiritual consciousness in the beginning, but towards the end he was able to sweep out to a radius of a few dozen feet. Moreover, with each passing day, his spiritual consciousness was also becoming more and more powerful. After a few months, Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness was able to sweep out to a radius of a few hundred meters. Not only that, Ning Cheng also felt that his sea of consciousness was even more solid, and the circulation of his spiritual consciousness was even smoother and smoother. Sure enough, it was similar to what he had thought. This place was really a good place to temper one's spiritual consciousness. Unfortunately, the chaotic star space in this place was too terrifying. Otherwise he would have been able to temper his body in this kind of place. He did not know if there was a cultivation method for tempering the corporeal body and spiritual consciousness. If there was, then he would definitely find a way to get it. Originally, the everlasting Blue Thunder City and this chaotic star space were both good places for tempering one's spiritual consciousness and corporeal body. As a few months passed by, Ning Cheng's sea of consciousness was getting thicker and thicker. Moreover, his spiritual consciousness was now able to sweep out to a distance of a kilometer. Ning Qing understood that although his cultivation had not improved, but his strength had definitely increased exponentially. At this time, he was afraid that his spiritual consciousness was a lot more powerful than those profound core cultivators. Moreover, his spiritual consciousness was not only powerful, but also very solid. Feeling this powerful spiritual consciousness, Ning Qing suddenly wanted to try out the everlasting Blue Thunder City in his Zifu. He did not know if he could mobilize it or not. Ning Qing was still thinking about how to drive the everlasting Blue Thunder City, when he felt that the true Brahma Buddha fire will had suddenly slowed down. Feeling that the power of hope was not enough, Ning Qing immediately controlled the true Brahma Buddha fire will to fly down, and sure enough this time he was able to easily change the direction of the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel. Half an hour later, the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel rushed out of the chaotic star space. Ning Qing's spiritual consciousness was just like a tied-up eagle, as it instantly relaxed. His spiritual consciousness directly swept out to a place several times further than before, moreover it was also incomparably clear. After a few months of struggle, his spiritual consciousness really could not be compared to its original state. Although he was still at a very high altitude, but without the chaotic star space surrounding him, the power of hope within the Imperial Jade Seal was greatly reduced, as such he was able to control it. Ning Qing quickly took control of the Imperial Jade Seal, while simultaneously putting away the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel and the Imperial Jade Seal, and replaced them with a very ordinary airship-type magical weapon. Ning Qing was now very clear about the role of the power of hope, as such he was not willing to use up the power of hope within the Imperial Jade Seal. Once it was completely used up, with his ability, wanting to find new power of hope, was something that was absolutely impossible. Although this airship-type magical weapon was a medium-grade spiritual artifact, but its speed could not even be compared to a corner of the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel. Fortunately, Ning Qing did not care about it. He was sure that no matter in which direction he went, with the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel flying for such a long time, if the Gue Yuan city would still be able to find him, then it would really be a strange thing. Ning Qing allowed the airship to descend, as he stimulated his spiritual consciousness to try bringing out the everlasting Blue Thunder City. Once he could bring out this thing, then even if he encountered a terrifying attack, the everlasting Blue Thunder City would at least be able to block it. Using his vigorous spiritual consciousness to drive the everlasting Blue Thunder City, Ning Qing almost burst open his own sea of consciousness. Only then was he able to bring out a faint shadow of the Thunder City, but this shadow quickly disappeared. Ning Qing heaved a sigh. He knew that his true essence was still not enough. A few days later, Ning Qing's spiritual consciousness was able to sweep out a body of water. It seems that even after flying for such a long time with the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel, he was still in the Yi Xing Ocean. A huge ship appeared in the range of his spiritual consciousness. It made Ning Qing understand that he might have arrived at a place where cultivators were active. Chapter 244. Ning Qing carefully landed his flight-type magical weapon, as he slowly approached the ship. He did not know the origin of this ship, as such he was not willing to recklessly rush up to it. But when Ning Qing was only about a kilometer away from the ship in front of him suddenly disappeared. Ning Qing was startled in his heart, and immediately stopped. He used his spiritual consciousness to carefully search the place where the ship appeared, but it was still empty, without anything to be found. The ship had disappeared. Other than the vast and calm sea, where else could there be a ship? Mirage? Ning Qing immediately denied his own thoughts. He was sure that what he saw was not a mirage. His spiritual consciousness could clearly sense that there were all kinds of physical obstacles on the ship. Moreover, his spiritual consciousness could not penetrate into the interior of the ship. How could a mirage have such a feeling? If it wasn't a mirage, then it definitely wasn't an illusion. Although this area of the sea was vague, it could not block his divine sense. Ning Qing grabbed an escape talisman, and once again slowly approached the position where he had seen the ship. After advancing a few hundred meters, Ning Qing once again stopped. Once again, he clearly saw a huge ship. Not only was it huge, but it was also getting clearer and clearer. This time, Ning Qing could clearly see that this was indeed not a ship, but rather a ship-shaped island that looked very similar to a ship. This island looked too much like a ship. Not only did it look like a ship, but it also had a similar natural restriction. His divine sense couldn't sweep in. The ship-shaped island was extremely quiet. Not a single sound could be heard. Ning Qing did not dare to go up immediately. He did not know what was going on, and he did not know if this island would disappear for a while. After observing for the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, Ning Qing found that this island seemed to be able to conceal itself automatically. There was nothing suspicious about it, and it didn't even give him a sense of danger. He decided to go to this island to have a look. If there was any danger, he would immediately activate the escape talisman and escape. Woo-woo. A low and extremely uncomfortable sounding horn sound was carried by the sea breeze, causing Ning Qing to suddenly become vigilant. He had just been paying attention to this ship-shaped island, and had unexpectedly forgotten about the surrounding situation. He immediately swept out with his spiritual consciousness, and once again a vague image of a ship appeared in his spiritual consciousness. Moreover, his spiritual consciousness was incomparably powerful, and was even more condensed than the spiritual consciousness of an ordinary profound core cultivator. Therefore, although the distance was very far, he still saw it. What was going on? Ning Qing soon discovered something different. The ship that appeared behind him was somewhat different from the ship-shaped island that he had seen a moment ago. The ship that appeared later could move. Not only could it move, but he could also see human silhouettes in his divine sense. Clearly, this ship was a real ship and there were people on it. Sure enough, there really were people here. Ning Qing couldn't help but sigh in relief. What he feared the most was that he would end up in the depths of the Yi Xing Ocean, with no village in front of him and no shop behind him. Since someone had come here, it meant that they could reach land from here. He planned to first go to the inhabited ship to ask about the situation, and then come back to check out this ship-shaped island. But when Ning Qing turned around, he quickly froze. The ship-shaped island once again mysteriously disappeared. This matter was just too strange. Ning Qing was no longer a newbie who had just arrived at the Yi Xing mainland. He had seen many strange things and did not care about this one. After memorizing the position in front of him, Ning Qing quickly left this place and headed towards the ship with the people inside. Ning Qing's speed was not fast, as he approached the ship while simultaneously observing it. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, the people inside the ship also discovered his existence. They even opened the restriction on the deck, and swept out with their divine consciousness towards Ning Qing. Ning Qing, on seeing this, sped up and landed on the deck of the ship. In order to not let the other party misunderstand, Ning Qing did not use his spiritual consciousness to forcibly sweep into the ship. His spiritual consciousness had only swept through the ship. Knowing that there were people inside, he immediately withdrew it. Now that the restriction on the deck of the ship was opened, Ning Qing was able to see the situation inside, and was immediately surprised. There were at least 100 or 200 people on the deck. What kind of ship was this? If there were so many people on the deck, then wouldn't there be even more people inside the ship? Ning Qing had not yet stood firm on the bow of the ship, when two men landed in front of Ning Qing, one on the left and one on the right as they monitored Ning Qing. These two people both had the cultivation of profound core realm. One of them looked incomparably sturdy, with dark red hair. The other person had short hair, pursed his lips, and just stared at Ning Qing, as if he did not like to talk. But in the eyes of the two people, other than some surprise, there was not much vigilance. After all, Ning Qing only had the cultivation of profound congealing realm. Moreover, Ning Qing looked so young, so presumably it was impossible for him to cultivate to such a formidable level. Ning Qing did not wait for the two people to speak, as he quickly cupped his fists and spoke. "Two friends, our ship was destroyed because we encountered a Class 8 monstrous beast. With the help of an escape talisman, I was lucky enough to escape with my life. After drifting on the sea for a few months, today I once again saw a ship, and wanted to borrow this treasured ship to settle down. Ning Qing did not think that there was any flaw in his words, since there was a ship here, then his ship being destroyed by a monstrous beast was not a strange thing. Besides, there were so many cultivators on this ship, adding one more person would not make a difference. At this time he was thinking in his heart, if the other party asked about his origin, and what he was doing here, then how should he answer? When the red-haired male cultivator heard Ning Cheng's words, he nodded and spoke, "It must have been hard on you, the ship had an accident, but you were still able to escape, it is not easy at all. Presumably you followed the ship here, and also wanted to find the Mirage Ship Island. Since you already know the rules of the ship, then I will not speak any nonsense. We still have some empty rooms on this ship, what grade of room do you want?" This red-haired male did not seem to be surprised by the things that Ning Qing encountered, it was obvious that he had seen this kind of thing many times before. Not only was he not surprised by the things that Ning Qing encountered, he did not even bother to ask about Ning Cheng's origin and name. "I do not have many spirit stones on me, so I will look for the cheapest single room." Ning Qing did not know how many grades of rooms there were on the ship, as such he simply spoke vaguely. He was thinking in his heart that this red-haired male cultivator was talking about the Mirage Ship Island, but he did not know if it was the same ship-shaped island that he had seen before. If it was, then he did not know why these people were looking for this island. That short-haired male cultivator swept a glance at Ning Cheng, and spoke in a light voice, "Being able to stay in a single room here, it is also not bad." The red-haired male cultivator nodded in agreement, as he took out a number plate and handed it to Ning Cheng and spoke, "You can go to the bottom cabin 219, room 219 is already empty, the price is 100,000 high-grade spirit stones a year." Ning Cheng quickly took the jade card, and took out 100,000 spirit stones and handed it to the other party. But in his heart he was thinking that this room was very expensive, the cheapest one would cost 100,000 spirit stones a year, then how much would the best one cost? "You can go, you also know the rules of the ship, so I will not say anything more." The red-haired cultivator, on seeing Ning Cheng pay the spirit stones in a very straightforward manner, was also quite satisfied. What he hated the most was that this kind of cultivator who had fallen on hard times, after entering the ship, still had to haggle over the price. Ning Cheng saw that the other party did not have the intention to take him to room 219, and also did not dare to ask, as he cupped his fists in thanks, and immediately entered the ship. At the same time, his spiritual consciousness swept into the jade card in his hands, and found that the jade card had an incomparably clear map. On top of it was marked the location of the various rooms. Ning Cheng secretly sighed. The jade card not only contained the map, but also some information. The various ships' makeshift markets, the auction houses, and the shops were all clearly marked. This ship was extremely huge, as such Ning Cheng was carefully observing it as he walked. After the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn, he finally arrived at the door of room 219. Using the jade card to open the door of the room, it was not beyond Ning Cheng's expectations. This room was definitely not more than 10 square meters, and other than a wooden couch, there was nothing else. Closing the door, Ning Cheng used his spiritual consciousness to carefully observe the information on the jade card. It was nothing more than to pry into other people's rooms, and before the ship's fare was due, one should take the initiative to renew the fare. If one did not renew the fare, then they would be fined. If one did not have the spirit stones, then they would be driven out of the ship. Ning Cheng put away the jade card, and arranged a simple shielding restriction in his room. He did not intend to cultivate on the ship, as such this restriction was only a low-leveled restriction. After tidying up everything, Ning Cheng left his room. The first thing he wanted to do was to find out from where did this ship come from, and why was he looking for the Mirage Ship Island. Get out! Ning Cheng had just arrived at the makeshift market of the ship, when he saw a shadow being kicked out of a shop, while at the same time there was an extremely unhappy voice shouting out. There were a lot of people in the makeshift market, but when these people saw this situation, none of them came forward to say anything. Chapter 245. Ning Cheng found that the cultivator who had been thrown out was already at profound congealing 9th level. When this cultivator saw Ning Cheng coming over, he immediately shot a fierce glare at Ning Cheng, before climbing up and quickly disappearing. Ning Cheng did not care about the cultivator who just left. He could see that the shop in front of him was not a place that sold any magical weapons or pills, nor was it a place that purchased materials, rather it was a pawn shop. Moreover, the entrance of the pawn shop was inscribed with the word Sea Transport Pawn Shop. "Friend, do you want to be a magic treasure or something?" Ning Cheng had not yet entered the shop, and was just looking from the outside, when he heard a shop assistant standing at the door cupping his fists in an extremely polite manner. Ning Cheng hesitated for a moment and said, "I want to be a magical weapon. I don't know how much a medium-grade spiritual artifact can be exchanged for." Ning Cheng's ring contained a lot of spiritual artifacts, although there were not many high-grade artifacts, but there were a lot of low-grade and medium-grade artifacts. It was not that he lacked these few spirit stones, but he wanted to know the specific situation here. Of course, there was another reason, and that was to let others know that he was not a wealthy cultivator. No matter how many people there were on this ship, it was still limited. After a long time of coming and going, it was always good to keep a low profile. Not to mention a medium-grade spiritual artifact, even if it was thrown away, Ning Cheng would not even bat an eye. Hearing that it was a medium-grade spiritual artifact, the enthusiasm of the shop assistant dropped by a lot, but he still very politely guided Ning Cheng into the pawn shop and spoke, "The price of a medium-grade spiritual artifact is 5,000 high-grade spirit stones. If you want to retrieve it within 3 months, then you will have to pay an additional fee of 2,000 high-grade spirit stones. After 3 months, you won't be able to get it back." So dark. Ning Cheng couldn't help but think in his heart, in the Lu continent, an ordinary medium-grade spiritual artifact would cost at least several tens of thousands of spirit stones, while a slightly better one would even cost several 100,000 spirit stones. His profound break spear was something that he had spent 300,000 spirit stones to buy. However, this shop assistant had not even seen what he had taken out, yet he had already offered 5,000 spirit stones. Moreover, he would not be able to get it back after 3 months. He was simply shameless to the extreme. Even if Ning Cheng was rich, he did not want to waste things like this. He shook his head and said, "I'll think about it." "Don't worry, we welcome you anytime. Please go ahead." Although the shop assistant had lost his enthusiasm, but he still had a smile on his face, apparently thinking that Ning Cheng would come here again sooner or later. It was impossible to survive on this ship without spirit stones. Ning Cheng had just walked out of the pawn shop, when he felt someone following him. His spiritual consciousness was almost equivalent to that of a soul essence cultivator, moreover, it was incomparably condensed. In this place, he had not seen any soul essence cultivators, as such it was simply impossible to track him. He couldn't figure out who was following him. He didn't reveal his wealth, and he didn't know anyone here. He had just arrived. "Friend, please stay." A low voice called out to Ning Cheng. On the contrary, Ning Cheng was relieved. The person who called out to him was the one who had been following him a moment ago. As long as he was called, it meant that there was a reason for him to be tailed, and it was not a trick. Ning Cheng turned around and saw that this person was an extremely thin middle-aged male cultivator, with the cultivation of profound core 4th level. "This friend, I don't seem to know you, are you looking for me?" Ning Cheng pretended to be puzzled and asked with a frown. The skinny cultivator smiled and said, "My name is Mu Xuanlin. If my friend doesn't mind, I have a few words to say to my friend. I also have a business to discuss with you." Ning Cheng was completely confused about this place, but since someone had taken the initiative to look for him, of course he would not refuse, and quickly spoke up, "Okay, how about this, I'll treat you to a meal, let's go to the spiritual tea house in front of us to sit down." Seeing Ning Cheng pointing to a small spiritual tea house in front of him, Mu Xuanlin gave a thumbs up and nodded, "This friend really is a forthright person who is worth making friends with, let me treat you to a meal. Let's go to this spiritual tea house." Seeing that this person wanted to treat him to a meal, Ning Cheng also did not refuse. This Mu Xuanlin had followed him from the pawn shop to this place, perhaps he knew that he wanted a medium-grade spiritual artifact, as such he had an idea for him. Mu Xuanlin was also not stingy, as he found a small private room, and ordered 2 cups of good spiritual tea. Ning Qing saw that Mu Xuanlin was about to speak, and quickly stopped in front of him and spoke. Many thanks for Elder Brother Mu's politeness, but I do not know where Elder Brother Mu comes from. How long have you been in this sea? After so many years of traveling north and south, Ning Cheng's mind was no longer that of a teenager when he first came here. This ship was definitely a ship that only recognized spirit stones. Because of this, the 2 Golden Core Realm cultivators who came to pick him up did not care about where he came from, or what his name was. But Mu Xuanlin wanted to get close to him, and even spoke out his own name first. Now that he opened his mouth, he would definitely ask where he came from, and what his name was. Before he figured out where he was, Ning Cheng absolutely did not want to speak out his real name. If he went around in a big circle in the chaotic star space, then he would only end up at the periphery of the Lu continent. If he were to stupidly report his own name, then it would simply be courting death. Oh, I have been in this Yixing Ocean for 20 years, I do not know how my family is doing. This time, if I can earn enough spirit stones, then I will use the transmission array of the Mirage-Gazing Island to return to the Formless Academy. After so many years, my cultivation has not advanced even an inch. After all, I still lack some opportunities, alas. Mu Xuanlin at first gave a self-deprecating laugh, but at the end he gave a long sigh. It was obvious that he was sighing about the past few decades. Formless Academy. Ning Qing deliberately repeated the words in a questioning tone, but in his heart he was thinking that the name Formless Academy was actually somewhat similar to his mysterious yellow formless cultivation method. Mu Xuanlin once again gave a self-deprecating smile. It is normal for this friend to not have heard of the Formless Academy. My academy is just a 4-star academy. A 4-star academy in the Tian continent is just an unremarkable existence. Ning Qing slowly sighed. He finally knew where he was. He was secretly amazed in his heart. He did not expect that he would be able to arrive at the Tian continent through the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel. If it was before, he would not have dared to imagine it. From the 9 continents to the Tian continent, even a crucible transformation cultivator would find it difficult to cross, but he had only used 2 years to arrive. If he told others about it, then it was estimated that no one would believe it. However, since he had arrived at the Tian continent, he was completely relieved in his heart. So Elder Brother Mu is a disciple of the Formless Academy. It is much better than me. My name is Ning Cheng, I am just a rogue cultivator, and have been out at sea for many years. Hearing Ning Cheng say that he was a rogue cultivator, Mu Xuanlin did not feel surprised, and continued to speak. Elder Brother Ning misunderstood. I am not a disciple of the Formless Academy, rather I am the headmaster of the Formless Academy. More than 20 years ago, I advanced to the Profound Core realm, and under a lucky coincidence, I was able to advance to the Profound Core 2nd level in just 3 years. I was just a step away from advancing to the Profound Core 3rd level. The Formless Academy's strength also greatly increased because of a secret mine, causing me to burst with confidence, and even made a decision that I regret endlessly, that is to go to the Mirage-Gazing City to look for the Mirage Ship Island. This was the second time that Ning Cheng had heard about the Mirage Ship Island. As he asked in a puzzled manner, many people go to look for the Mirage Ship Island. I also came here because I was looking for the Mirage Ship Island. Is there something wrong with it? Mu Xuanlin gave a wry smile and spoke. I know why you came here. The fact is that among the cultivators who come here, how many of them are really here to hunt the sea demons, or to collect medicinal herbs and other materials from the sea? Almost 90% of them are here for the Mirage Ship Island. For more than 20 years, I have used up all of the resources that I have saved up, and was only able to raise my cultivation to the Profound Core 4th level, but I have not even seen the Mirage Ship Island, not to mention the Mirage Stones. Originally they were looking for the Mirage Ship Island to look for Mirage Stones, but they did not know what kind of material this Mirage Stone was. Unexpectedly it was so precious that it attracted so many people to come here to look for it. Ning Cheng finally understood a little bit of the cause and effect, as he also felt a lot calmer in his heart. At least if others asked him, he would know the reason why he had come here. Elder Brother Mu, to be honest, although I am also looking for the Mirage Ship Island. However, I am not on this ship, rather I am on another ship. Our ship encountered the sea demons, and I used an escape talisman to escape here. I just heard Elder Brother Mu say that you have used up all of your savings over the years. Could it be that this is a black ship? Ning Cheng asked. Regarding Ning Cheng's words, Mu Xuanlin did not feel surprised, as he waved his hand and spoke, Elder Brother Ning, please do not misunderstand, the Mirage Gazing Conglomerate is a famous ship in the Mirage Gazing Island. It is absolutely not a black ship, moreover the shops on board are very well behaved, and do business without coercion. For example, when you went to the pawn shop just now, the price they offered was very low. If you didn't agree, they wouldn't force you. But in the end, you don't have the fare, so you still have to go. Speaking till here, Mu Xuanlin showed a faint smile. I think that Brother Ning already knows why I came looking for you, although the pawn shop does not force you to buy or sell, but the price is very low. As you can see, they only gave you 5,000 high-grade spirit stones for your middle-grade spiritual artifact. I suggest that you don't do it. Because I constantly pawned my own magic weapon, I don't even have an offensive magic weapon. Did you see the cultivator who was kicked out of the pawn shop? He was also such a person. All of his magic treasures had already been pawned. He did not have a single magic treasure. This time, he went to the pawn shop for help. However, this pawn shop only recognized spirit stones and not people. As a result, it was directly kicked out. If Brother Ning becomes a magical weapon, then he will eventually end up in the same situation as us. Don't think that you can redeem the treasure yourself. It's very difficult. Since Brother Mu is looking for me, is it because you want to buy the middle-grade spiritual artifact in my hands? Ning Cheng asked. Mu Xuanlin spoke with some embarrassment. I really want to buy the middle-grade spiritual artifact in Brother Ning's hands, but unfortunately I don't have any spirit stones. Since Brother Ning is willing to take out a spiritual artifact to sell, then presumably you have more than one spiritual artifact. I would like to ask Brother Ning to lend me this spiritual artifact. In order to survive on this ship, I have to pawn or sell all of my magic weapons. Without a magic weapon, I can't go to the sea, I can't go to the sea, I can't get the materials, I can't get the materials, I can't get the spirit stones. This is an endless cycle, alas. Another long sigh. Ning Cheng somewhat understood, although he sympathized with Mu Xuanlin, but he did not intend to lend a magic weapon to a stranger just because of a few words. Brother Mu, Ning Cheng had just spoken 2 words, when he was interrupted by Mu Xuanlin. I am not borrowing your magic weapon for free, I have something to give you as collateral. The reason why the Mirage Gazing Conglomerate came here, is mainly because someone had seen the Mirage Ship Island in the vicinity. As long as we can find the Mirage Ship Island, then even if I can get a Mirage Stone, it would be enough. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.